It is 5:30 p.m. I am calling to order the July 26th, 2021 Paris City Council meeting. For the purposes of this meeting, there is a quorum present. The invocation will be given by Mr. Gene Anderson and the Pledge of Allegiance by Mayor Pro Tem Reginald Hughes. Please rise.
May we pray? Heavenly Father, first of all, we wish to acknowledge, Father, your sovereignty in all things. And we pray, Father, that you would give wisdom and understanding to our council members tonight as they consider the city's business. We pray, Father, that they would be fair in dealing with all the people, Father, that will be affected by what they do tonight. And we just pray especially for them, Father, as they can sacrifice their time and their skills and their talents, Father, to serve on the council. We pray that you'd bless our city, might it prosper, and might it glorify you. For we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Item number 4 is the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city council members or employees, as well as individual personal appeals, are not appropriate for Citizens Forum. If necessary, the City Council may convene into executive session under Chapter 551 of the Texas Local Government Code regarding any item on this agenda. The consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are approved by a single action of the council, with such approval applicable to all items appearing on the consent agenda. A council member may request any item to be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item. Councilman Pankaj has asked that item 12 be pulled out and voted on separately because he has a conflict. I will hear a motion to recuse Mr. Pankaj, please.
We skipped the Citizens Forum.
Oh, I'm sorry, Citizens Forum. Okay, all those wishing to address the council with Citizens Forum, you may come forward. Please give us your name and address and speak clearly into the microphone.
Good evening. James O'Brien, 3150 Bonham Street. Ladies and gentlemen, change is inevitable, and it's always stressful, whether good or bad, and that includes policy and rule changes. I believe that they should always be fair. Mr. Path, when you began here, you stated that you were going to enforce the rules, and that seems fair. You were going to enforce them as they were written. And if we didn't like it, to change the rules. And I assumed by you saying so that the initiation of those rule changes would be implemented by the citizens, less so to the extent by the city. And I understand the need to change the rules and being implemented by the city in order to make things more efficient. And I understand that. But I've never seen such sweeping changes happen at the city's request that affect so many citizens. And I want to make sure that the City Council understands when these rules are presented to you that you understand the ramifications and the consequences. They may be legal. It may be legal to do this, but is it fair? And we know that legal and fair aren't necessarily synonymous. I kind of always fall back, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, okay? And for the lawyers in here, you can probably relate to this a little bit better. When you're trying a really hard case, and the case has new information presented into it, and it gets hard, you don't get to change the rules and the law to make your case easier because it's easier for you. By doing so, you undermine the fundamentals of the institution, the democracy, of the flag. And whether you're Democrat or Republican or independent, whether you're a donkey or an elephant, I just want you to know that by the audience present here, you're poking the bear. So be careful. I've never seen changes like this happen at the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing none, I will close the public forum. Consent. Oh, come forward, please.
Waiting on someone else. I didn't want to be first to speak. My name is Bill Madding, and I live at 2225 36th Street Northeast. And my concern about having multiple family dwellings there is the traffic. I've lived in that area for a little over 20 years, and we had very little traffic and things like that. And then they did some construction on the loop, and they sent everybody through there as a detour. So everybody learned a little trick of going down 34th and down 36th and get over to 195. My wife and I yesterday got on Highway 195, and we drove up 36th Street till we got to the right-hand turn there at Clement Road. We came down Clement Road and turned and went up to the back of the Nissan dealership. It's exactly 1.4 miles. We counted 56 patches in the highway, in the road. This is going to, the more traffic you put on a thing, the worse it's going to be. The city, I'm sure, can check their repair log and tell you how many times they've had crews out there to put that street back together because the traffic is just tearing it up. And if you put in the multifamily dwelling versus the single-family dwelling, it's just going to double the traffic. And I just think that's a bad idea. I mean, I don't mind if they bring nice single-family houses out there, but I think the multifamily dealing is not right. Okay, and I don't agree with that zoning. I wish for the zoning change.
Okay, you can speak when the item comes up on the agenda without a time limit, okay? Thank you. Anyone else? I can't see over the...
How are y'all this evening?
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, my name is Brett Abels. I live in Brownwood on 2005, 37th Northeast. And, this has really just come to my attention here recently. I live directly behind the lot that's in question and that we're talking about this evening, right beside the Elks Lodge. And it would directly affect, my home and where I live and the nice things about it. I don't really have too much to say except I would, what I've thought about the last couple of days is I would position a question to you. I would position the question to someone that wants to develop that property is that, we all live here together in Paris. We all have to pull together. We're always trying to improve our community. We're not trying to, this person makes pretty good a little money, this person doesn't. That's not good for all of us. I think we would all agree that Brownwood, where we all live, is without a doubt been a very successful neighborhood in Paris, Texas. It's one of the few sought after. Homes come in there or come up for sale. They're for sale for maybe 24 hours or a week at the most, even years ago. They didn't last for long because people wanted to live there. So I think it's been a very successful area for Paris. I have a lot of people asking me how much we like living there. And I know a lot of us walk through the neighborhood, walk our dogs, we all visit and talk. Why would we put anything in jeopardy that's been a plus for Lamar County? Why would we consider that? There's a lot of other areas you can develop. I can't imagine why we did. We have a handful of nice neighborhoods like this. Most of us are homeowners. I, for one, will tell you that if this goes through, I will most likely turn my house into a renter home or I'll sell it. And so why would we want to do that? Why would we want to devalue the area? I would want the people that want to develop this area, I know where some of them live. What would they think? How would they view that if, a development was coming across their house or down the road from their pasture?
Mr. Abels?
Yes, ma'am.
Your 2 minutes is almost up, but if you want, you can speak when this item is on the agenda and you won't have a time limit, okay?
Okay, all right.
All
But
right.
anyway, last thing I would ask you, I was told just a few minutes ago that it's all legal. This has been this way for years. My father always told me to use this principle. Just because you can, doesn't mean you should, you know? So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing none, I'll close the citizens forum. And going to the consent agenda, Councilman Pankaj has asked that item 12 be pulled out and voted on separately because he has a conflict. I'll hear a motion to recuse Mr. Pankaj.
I make the motion. Second.
Thank you, Mr. Savage and Mr. Pilgrim. I have a motion and a second to recuse Mr. Pankaj. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Thank you, Mr. Pankaj. Item number 12 is to approve the final plat of Lot 1, Block A of the Mahir Pankaj 318 Edition LCAD Property ID 18785, located at 3143 Northeast Loop 286. Is there any discussion?
This was approved by planning, or, the Development Division, Engineering.
That's correct, Councilmember Pilgrim. There was modification to the approval conditions. Essentially, as recommended by staff, the first two have been removed. Staff is recommending approval of condition 3 involving the approval of civil engineering plans for the site. And we've just recommend that one approval condition with the final plat.
Okay, any other questions? All right, seeing no, I'll hear a motion to approve the final plat.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Pilgrim. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Knox and Mr. Savage. All those in favor of approving the final plat of Lot 1, Block A of the Mahir Pankaj 318 Edition, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. 6-0. Oh,
Because you recused.
oh, we did, I was trying to count who was missing. 6-0, thank you. All right. We'll need a motion to return Mr. Pankaj to the meeting.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor of returning Mr. Pankaj, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. You're back in, Mr. Pankaj. Thank you. All right, now to the consent agenda. Are there any items that any other council member would like to pull from the agenda? All
I had
right.
a correction on one item, if that's okay. Let me gather my notes, I apologize. On the last line, is it okay to make the revisions at the moment?
If you have something that's an issue with the consent agenda, this is the time to do that.
Okay. The only thing that I had was, there was a date change that needed to be made on page 1 of the agenda, and I think that it's also on the amended item. Let me pull that up.
On number
real quick.
5?
Mhm.
Yes. On the agenda itself, it should say June 28th for the minutes. The minutes that are included in your packet do say June 28th,
Yep.
so this was a typo.
Okay.
And then the only other thing that I had was actually on the last line of item number 13. It should say of the July 12th meeting, should read or not of. Just nitpicking there, but
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank
That's it.
you.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Pilgrim. Second?
a second.
Thank you, Mr. Pankaj. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. All right. Item number 15 of the regular agenda, discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance considering the petition of the City of Paris to adopt an ordinance amending the zoning map for the Brownwood addition from a multifamily dwelling District 1, MF-1, to a one-family dwelling District Number 2, SF-2, and a zoning map amendment to the Davin-Wick LLC property LCAD 116525 from a multifamily dwelling District Number 2, MF-2, to a one-family dwelling District Number 2, SF-2. Mr. Mack, please make your presentation and clarify this case for us, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Upon a phone call I received from a resident from the Brownwood addition, I further examined the current zoning of the development. Following that discussion, I brought to the Planning Commission in June a work session discussion to take a look at the current zoning of this property. We presently have the Brownwood development developed in its entirety for single-family residences. The property is currently zoned MF1, which permits up to quadruplex housing in that zoning district. Adjacent to that site, to the west, is an undeveloped 3.6 acre tract outside of the plat, undeveloped, currently zoned MF2, allowing the city's highest density of apartment development in the community. Both items were discussed, and Planning Commission directed staff to initiate a rezoning application case for this property. All of the development within the Brownwood plat, as well as the undeveloped 3.6 acre parcel, were included in the single case that is now before the council this evening for changes all to SF2, from both MF2 and MF1 to single-family one family District Number 2, which talks about the minimum lot size in that particular single-family district. The item was presented to the Planning Commission, and at that time, the city received a number of concerns, primarily objecting to the changing of the 3.6 acre property, LCAD 116525, shown in this picture here, again as the undeveloped site adjacent to the subdivision. As a result, we had 8 zoning input forms which were received in favor of the petition to change the zoning of everything from SF2, with one call in opposition prior to the July 6th hearing. During that public meeting, we had 7 citizens speak up at that public hearing July 6th in opposition, and 3 spoke in favor. As a result of those inputs and the testimony provided to the Planning Commission that evening, the Planning Commission reviewed the case and unanimously recommended that the case initiated by the city should be recommended to the council for denial. As a result of that, staff has prepared a recommendation to the council this evening following the Planning Commission's recommendation for denial, that you actually receive a request by myself as the Director of Planning to withdraw that application before you this evening. In doing so and planning that strategy for the withdrawal of a request, I proceeded to initiate a new application for this. As a result of that new application, it was to exclude this parcel, the vacant parcel, 3.6 acres, as shown on this drawing on the left-hand side, from the new hearing which has been scheduled for August 2nd. As a result of scheduling that, a re-notification of the properties was made, which would constitute the second round of property owner notifications. As a result of that, we received 28 inputs for that hearing, which will come up on the 2nd of August at the next Planning Commission meeting. but it was now we have 29 and up to those in favor of the zoning request. Also this morning, we received a petition from several of the neighbors that live in the Brownwood subdivision, expressing their opposition to the recommendation of the Planning Commission and the staff recommendation to withdraw, and would like to actually see the request approved by the council tonight. What that map looks like is before you right now. Again, that constitutes 47.4% of the landowners within 200 feet of the subject properties that still support the rezoning of the 3.6 acres from MF2 to SF2. The point I would like to make about the petition is that it carries the same equal weight in terms of the required vote by the City Council tonight. Based on the recommendation for denial by the Planning Commission, it does carry the same weight as this petition that would require 6 of 7 votes from the council this evening in order to approve this original request that is in hearing before you this evening. So again, the staff recommendation before you tonight is for the accepting the withdrawal of this request and allowing the hearing cycle to continue at the August 2nd Planning Commission meeting for all of the Brownwood subdivision, excluding the 3.6 acre tract. And with that, I'll answer any questions the council may have this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mack.
We're supposed to conduct a public hearing first.
Yes, yes. I will now open the public hearing. All those here to speak for or against this item, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Angie Gifford. Me and my husband live in Brownwood,
Can you
37
pull the mic down? There you go.
3765 Eagle Bend Drive in the Brownwood neighborhood. Brownwood's a neighborhood of over 80 single-family homes. I just want to say, too, about the diagram up there, a lot of people didn't answer their doors. That's the only reason we didn't get more percent of that. But, yeah, we pounded the pavement to get people to sign that petition. But anyway, the neighborhood's made up of a diverse group of working families, retirees. I bought my house in 2013 as a single mother of 2. I worked 2 jobs for 8 years to afford that house. And just like Brett said, Brownwood's a very desirable neighborhood. Lots of people sought out Brownwood as their place that they wanted to raise their kids, their families. So it's beyond me why anybody would approve the degradation of our neighborhood with duplexes that bring in transient people and devalue our property. So I'm here tonight as to present that petition signed by over 50 of the homeowners asking that Brownwood plus the Davenwick parcel 116525 be zoned as single family only. It came to the attention of most of us in the neighborhood that a hearing and vote on the zoning for the Davenwick parcel took place a few weeks back, and that the zoning committee, for their reasons, chose not to make it single family. I and several neighbors of Brownwood are here tonight to ask that to be overturned by the council. If we understood then exactly what was happening, we would have had this petition and attendance at that meeting. Unfortunately, most of us working people who have busy lives missed exactly what was happening. We're not developers. We don't know the ins and outs of the system. But I think a lot of people were confused, as well as on the form. It wasn't that clear that were we opposed or were we for? I had a lot of neighbors say, oh, I'm against it. I'm against. No, you're for it. So some may have been inadvertently sent in as opposed when they're really for the change. As most of our neighborhood, we're working people. Our homes are our most valuable assets. And we oppose apartments, duplexes being put in what is essentially the front yard of our neighborhood. It will degrade the values of our homes that we have all worked so hard for. We don't believe anyone on the zoning committee or the council would want their homes value to be degraded. I don't imagine you would want an apartment or a duplex in your neighborhood. There are no other apartments or duplexes in the area, and building them in this one spot is not logical nor consistent, and from my basic research appears to be what is referred to as spot zoning. Spot zoning is defined as an unacceptable ordinance that singles out a small tract of property for treatment that differs from similar surrounding property. It's the opposite of planned zoning and may be ruled as an arbitrary, capricious, and unreasonable treatment of a limited parcel of land. The defining characteristic is the unjustified benefit to a particular property owner while undermining the pre-existing rights of the adjacent property owners. That was from Wikipedia. We have several people who have bought homes recently in the Brownwood area. The ones I talked to said they would have reconsidered if they had known apartments or duplexes would be built here. This is a very high demand for single-family homes, and if the developers would build those, they would profit as well while not taking the life savings from us. We thank you for your attention and your consideration, and we appreciate your consideration. We trust you do the right thing for the people of Brownwood. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gifford.
Good evening. My name is Vicki Hilliard. I live at 3760 Woodland Lane. It's been my home for about 18 years. It's in the Brownwood addition. I'm very disappointed that the Planning and Zoning Committee did not support the request of its director and approve the zoning change of the property on 36 Northeast owned by Davenwick LLC from multifamily to single family. My interest is personal and it's emotional because it affects me and my neighbors, not just in Brownwood, but on 36 Northeast, Smallwood Road, and Wildwood Lane. The only way out of any of these areas is 36 Northeast. It's pretty much an obstacle course. You're either dodging potholes or you're dodging traffic, oncoming traffic, that's going about 20 miles over the speed limit and taking their half out of the middle of the road. The filling and patching of 36 never lasts very long. My Brownwood neighbors with property adjacent to the area in question will lose their privacy if 2 or 3 story dwelling units are built, as tenants will be able to peer down from the higher levels into their backyards. Existing drainage issues for these neighbors will most likely not be improved by building such property and will probably cause even more damage and drainage problems. We'll all have a lot of traffic to deal with on a road that already has more traffic than it can bear. Undoubtedly, we will all suffer from more noise, trash, and crime that tenants will bring in. I'm not opposed to rental property. I've been a renter myself before, and it does serve a necessary purpose, but I'm opposed to it at this property because it does not seem that the infrastructure in place is adequate to handle such a volume. And I feel like that's probably why Mr. Mack brought the petition before the committee in the first place. Maybe I'm wrong. I would hope that you as a council will see that the director made the right decision in petitioning for a change from a multifamily to a single-family zoning district for not only Brownwood, but also for the property owned by Davenwick on 36 Northeast, and that you would not uphold the decision made by the Planning and Zoning Committee. Please vote for a change to single-family. I appreciate your service to our city. I appreciate your time and consideration in this matter this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hilliard.
I'm confused here. Help me out, Mr. Mack. So this agenda item is to withdraw the petition, to withdraw the agenda item, right? So it went through, we had an agenda item, it went to planning and zoning, they denied it. We brought it here to be withdrawn. Is that correct? So everybody's here speaking at a public forum to withdraw an agenda item. I don't understand why we just withdraw it. The city can withdraw an agenda item anytime without having to call it to an agenda item within the city council. Is that right? Because we're going to go back and redo this in August. I think we're wasting everybody's time here to withdraw an item. All these people came here to speak for an item we're going to withdraw. Am I wrong?
The item that's on the agenda before the council is a public hearing for the rezoning of all these properties to SF2. The recommendation before the council tonight from the Planning Commission was for denial. Staff's recommendation was for withdrawal, but the case before the council for decision tonight is still the change of zoning.
So we can still approve, even though there's a recommendation. So we're trying to sneak this by everybody instead of just withdrawing and starting over. We're trying to sneak it by and go ahead and approve it. Is that right? Anybody?
The agenda item is written. We can do one of three things. We can withdraw it, we can deny it, or we can approve. It's written on
So if it was approved, Mr. Pilgrim, then we would need to go back with the planning and zoning item that was scheduled on August 2nd, right?
We'd have to have a 6-7 vote, I believe, to approve it. Is that correct?
That's
We have
correct.
to have a supermajority to override the planning and zoning.
So this could have been withdrawn.
This can be withdrawn, or this can be denied, or this can be accepted.
Okay, a little bit unusual, but I get it. Thanks.
I'm Roy Henderson. I live at 3715 Eagle Bend. And I want to get to just one point. I would like to speak to several, but I want just you understand one. And that is water drainage from the property that you are considering approving and next to the Elks Club. Currently, the houses along the street, their backyards are soaking wet when you get a rain. Drainage from that lot. Sometimes it runs down the driveway. If you change the direction to that, the elevation, I don't have an elevation plot plan, but it took it to 36th Street, the ditches are not large enough to hold that much covered asphalt and rooftops. So a lot of money is going to have to be spent on proper drainage. Now, I know in some cases, in most cases, the developer is responsible for that. But a lot of time, he takes it to a ditch and it ends there. On 36th Street, heavy rain, we already got water crossing the street. So please, look at that before you consider it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Anyone else?
I'm Bill Madding again from 222536 Northeast, and I apologize for speaking out of turn, I suppose. I thought that the time to speak was the proper time. I went over what I said before about the roadways there, and I believe it's a real problem. It's going to be a continued problem with the city, the amount of money that they're going to have to spend to keep those roads up. And I do understand that you, as a city council, have the right to vote tonight to change this to a single-family dwelling. Is that correct? You have that power?
Yes.
Okay, then I would say that I would implore you to change this to a single. I'm the one that lives on 36 that Roy's talking about getting flooded out. Water runs across the road in front of my house, mine and Greg Wynn that lives right next door to me. The drainage is horrible. I've lived there for over 20 years. I've talked to the city several times about changing it, and apparently it can't be done reasonably. So if you don't change the elevation of that lot, if you raise it up to take care of the 36 water, you're going to wash out everybody in Brownwood. I just think it's going to be a real problem, and I would urge you and implore you to change this to the single-family dwelling. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Manning.
My name's Cody Stockton. I live at 1915 37th Street Northeast in the Brownwood Edition. I'd just like you guys to take a moment, look behind me. I'm relatively young. I'm 28. All these people come from all walks of life, all ages. We all have the same concern. Like I said, my name's Cody Stockton. I come to you today in favor of the zone change for the Brownwood Edition and the Davenwick parcel 116525 from multifamily to single-family dwellings. I'd like for you to take an ear on my concerns and overturn the vote by the Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm currently the homeowner of 1915 37th Street Northeast. I purchased this property from my stepfather and mother late last year. That was something I sought after. I looked and wanted to buy that property from them before they ever wanted to move, so I sought after that. I was drawn to this property because of location. It's almost a rural area. You get to live in town. You get to get the benefits of living in town. Before this, I lived in Blossom, and everybody knows the Blossom taxes are a lot less than in Paris. So I made that direct change. But the overall appeal of the neighborhood, and then in recent news, my attention and many other residents of the Brownwood, that there's a proposal to build a multifamily residence right in our backyard. So where I live, I don't know if you guys understand, but the parcel there's a fence separating my backyard and the parcel. So I'm a father, I have a wife, I have a 2-year-old daughter, she'll be 3 in September, and then we have another boy that'll be due in November. So, excuse me, I don't talk in public very often.
It's okay.
So, things I'd like to address is privacy, personally, and other residents who live directly parallel to 36th Street, and any property built on the southern lot of the Elks would be direct invasion of our backyards. This means relaxing in the pool, playing with our children, and outside activities would be a thing of the past. Think of coming home after a hard day work and being confined to your house because you can't even go out in your backyard and play with your daughter. Another thing is traffic, which has already been spoken of. It's considered a rural road and has little to no upkeep from the city. The uneven and poorly maintained roads are not sustainable for a large amount of traffic. That would be accompanied with a multifamily home. Like others have stated before, single family, we could do it, but there's potholes. You have to get in the ditch if there's 2 cars oncoming. We all know that. With a multifamily home, like I said, on the on-road access Brownwood, it would also put excess stress on that road. Like I said, others have stated that the only 2 entranceways to get into Brownwood or even the communities that are behind the Toyota dealership are 195 or 36th Street. And like I said, that's going to bring more cause and more damage to what's already there. And the last thing, crime. With a mix of multi-home and single-home income housing comes an upscale of crime. Brownwood is a small community, but we're all here. We see each other every day, even though we're working class, and we can usually see when something is out of the normal, like a car that isn't supposed to be there or something that's parked abnormally. Unfamiliar vehicles don't get through there and are easily identified. In addition to the southern lot of the Elks, it makes our neighborhood an easy target with, somebody, whoever's living there, can easily jump a fence and get in my backyard. My daughter's room is directly adjacent to the backyard, so obviously that brings up a concern. With that further said, like I said, these are just a few examples of what I believe the Planning and Zoning Commission believe to come if the Planning and Zoning Commission is not overturned. I want to raise my children's here. It's not just a house, it's my home. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stockton.
My name is Cleon Drake, and I live at 2501 Simpson. So I do not live in this area, but my sister does. She lives on 37th Street, and she's not a public speaker. So I'm up here for her. She is a widow, and she just recently purchased a home about 3 weeks ago and moved in. We had been trying to get her back to Paris, Texas for a long time, and she did. We looked and we looked and we looked for a home for her, and she loved this area. She loved the people. They were so friendly that came over and greeted her and knew her. She knows several people in this area and felt safe and bought and reinvested from Oklahoma to Texas. We didn't know about this, or we would have kept looking. And we found out about it yesterday. It does not need to be multifamily. It needs to be changed to single family. Her house backs up to this area, and I just do not want to see her having to go through this. I don't want to see the rest of the neighbors going through this. It's a wonderful neighborhood, and I really, really hope that y'all will take that into consideration and leave it where people can feel safe in their neighborhood and change it to a single family. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Drake. Can you wait just a minute, Ms. Gilbert, and let me ask if there's anyone speaking for or against that has some new issues or points, you're more than welcome to come forward. But I think we're hearing, okay.
My name is Tuesday Smallwood Chadwick. I live at 1040 Cannon Place. I and my husband and my brother-in-law own the Davenwick properties. This is not a new zone change. It's been zoned this way for 20 years. We brought it 5 or 6 years ago for the purpose of developing. If anybody knows, my father, Bobby Smallwood, and then my husband and I now have taken over Bobby Smallwood Construction. If you look at any properties that we own or have been any part of, they are nice properties. I'm a physician. I've gone through 12 years of education past high school. I've lived in rent houses. I'm currently living in a rent house. I've lived in apartments. I've lived in duplexes. At the hospital, we have some duplexes over on Pine Mill Road. The hospital is constantly asking for rental property for administrators that are coming in because there's not very many properties in Paris. A lot of times the administrators don't know if they're going to be here more than a year or two, so they don't want to buy a house. We are not planning on putting up 4-story apartments. Any neighborhood, you can have a 2-story house right behind you. So I don't understand why everybody keeps saying 2 and 3 and 4 stories. If there's a 2-story house behind your property, they can see over the fence. Also, I have been in several meetings with Mr. Mack since I have joined our construction company. Any new property built in Paris, Texas, there is plenty of planning that goes on as far as the drainage, and that is not going to be another issue that's going to compound on something that was built 20 years ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chadwick.
I'm in favor of changing it to single-family home.
Please state your name and
Beth
and
Gilmer,
address.
3735 Eagle Bend. I moved here 15 years ago from a similar neighborhood in Texarkana, Texas. I chose Brownwood because it was similar. The neighborhood there had been stable for many years. No multifamily living in near that place, and it has stayed to this day in great shape and welcoming families. I also chose Brownwood because my mother, Betty Landers, at 3705 Eagle Bend, moved there in '01. She also sought out Brownwood due to the reputation that it carries. Several years ago, Miss Marlene over here, she moved here from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. She has a daughter that lives here. She also sought out a home in Brownwood due to the reputation that it carries. Her home backs up to the place that we're talking about, the lot of land, and her backyard does stay muddy. It takes a very long time for it to dry up. So that is an issue. So please change this to single dwelling.
Thank you, Ms. Gilbert. Would everyone that's here please stand if you are in support of Brownwood neighborhood being rezoned single family? I'll get to that, okay? All right. I think the council can see a huge number. If you remain standing, if you would like to see this Davenwick property also zoned single family. Okay, thank you. Be seated if you like. I think if you have something, Mr. Sanders or Mr. Abels, different from what we've already heard, different arguments, we'll hear those and then.
I'm Bill Sanders, 3775 Eagle Bend. I support everything that has been said so far. The only thing that I would add is I do understand the property owner's position on this property, that they may have invested the money to buy it in order to develop it multifamily. That doesn't make it right, though, for the area. It doesn't make it right. If somebody was building multifamily in your backyard, would you want to do it? We don't want it in our backyard. The area is single family. We need it to stay single family. Single family could be developed there as rental property. Goodness gracious, this city needs single family homes for rental. So I encourage you to keep all of that in consideration and protect our value. If multifamily goes in there, it's a given that the value of our homes are going to decrease 20% or so. Would you want that to happen to your home? I don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders.
I'll try to say something a little different. But you didn't let me drive everything home I wanted to bring up a while ago. You said I had more time, so.
Yeah, you do.
You know, I was sitting back there, listening to everybody talk against, for, and I'm just actually just sitting there thinking, how'd this happen? I think a lot of them are thinking, how'd this happen? I've been a financial advisor for 29 years. I dare to say I understand about buying and selling, buying low, selling high, buying something for an investment than anybody in this room. That's what we do. Well, Darren's a financial advisor as well. Angie's husband. So I understand capitalism. I love progress. I like to make money, without a doubt. Does anyone here like to not make money? If anyone doesn't want to make money, tell me. I want to meet you. But aren't we taught these days now? Isn't the new thing that it's not always about money? You know, it's about our community. It's about the people we care about. It's about the people we know and we look after. Isn't that what we're all talking about here? I mean, I appreciate Mr. Madden's potholes and the water drainage. I think those are all valid points. Ms. Chadwick's right. Dr. Chadwick's right. Y'all are going to make sure that probably doesn't happen. The water issues, y'all are going to look at that. I'm sure Mr. Smallwood, Bobby Smallwood, will build great stuff. He has a great reputation. But none of that matters to me. Look at these faces. Look how many people showed up today because of their home. Okay? I mean, I know a lot of people that buy things to make money. There's going to be other deals. There's going to be other properties they can buy. If it's legal, it's been zoned that way for 20 years, well, then my question is, you know, anything that I purchase, I look around and I go, I wonder how that's going to affect somebody else. Because I see every day people doing that. You know, we see on the news that people do that in big cities. They do that to each other. Why would we do that here in Paris, Texas? I mean, again, we're always talking about the council. We want to grow this community. We want things to come here and do well. I can't frankly understand why anyone wouldn't withdraw this and go, why would we take a precious neighborhood that's been very good for everybody here, single mothers, single dads, which I was and still am. My kids are older. I'm still a dad, but y'all know what I mean. Why would we take an area like that and even risk? Why would we risk that? Why would we risk the values going down? Y'all like property taxes? We're all going to come up here at some point and say, hey, lower our taxes. Our property values have come down. I promise you that's going to happen. And we'll be valid, because you can't have it both ways. You can't say, hey, let's do this and y'all will be okay, but we're not going to lower your taxes. I wish somebody here would speak up and say, this is why we think it's a good idea. Because I hadn't heard one yet, except it's legal, it's been that way for 20 years, we bought that property to make money and invest. Well, there's a lot of properties. I don't think we're landlocked here in Lamar County. There's a lot of places you can buy and invest. You can buy in Florida, you can buy in Arizona. There's a lot of places you can buy and invest. But why would you risk an area that's one of the few successful neighborhoods in Paris, Texas? I mean, how many are that successful? It's one way in, one way out. We're safe. We watch everybody. We look after everybody. I tell people when they walk around, oh, you got a new car. Oh, I like your dog. I mean, that's what we do. And we'd like to keep it that way. Isn't that what y'all want? Isn't that what we want as a community? So I can't even understand. I can't even fathom why this is even in question. Years ago, back in about 2006, that property was for sale. I thought about buying it. I did. Now, to be completely transparent, I didn't have the funds at that time because I was just fairly newly divorced. But I thought about it. But I can tell you one thing I remember. I didn't think about buying it to develop it because I knew everybody there I lived with. I actually thought about fencing the whole thing and making it a big backyard for my dogs. That's what I actually thought about. Of course, I couldn't afford it at the time. So I don't even understand why we're even debating this. There's a lot of things in Paris that we should be talking about that can improve our community, and this is not one of them. Can someone speak up and say why y'all think this would be a good idea? I left a while ago and I said, because you can doesn't make it right. How many times have our parents told us that? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. I used to tell my father all the time, well, I can do that. I'm within my right. You know, it just amazes me that that's the logic here. We bought it, we want to make money. Most developers I know, not to get personal here, there's going to be another deal. They can do another development, make money elsewhere. These are all working income, middle income class families. They're not lawyers, they're not doctors, they're not big developers. How are they going to make money one day? How are you going to, the biggest investment they have is their home. And we're talking about even maybe, if there was a 20% chance that would hurt our community, our little community there, why would we even question that? Why would that even be? It looks like to me when someone brought this up to you, first thing you would say would be, we're not going to even consider that. Well, yeah, but it's been zoned. Let me give you a true story. True story. My uncle is Bob Abels, the veterinarian. He's retired now, he's got Parkinson's. He owned Lamar Vet Clinic. Across the road, about mile and a quarter from us, okay? He and his partner, Lyle Nottingham, started Buffalo Joe's, 10, 12 years ago. That was zoned commercial. Commercial. The clinic property was zoned agriculture, okay? People behind there, the clinic, and behind Buffalo Joe's, that neighborhood that's deep in front of Aiken Elementary School, they would complain because too much band noise. Maybe some of y'all remember. I know he became in front of the council many times, and he tried to compromise. He said, hey, we'll cut the sound off at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. You know what people would tell him? Dr. Abels, that place is zoned commercial. You can do whatever you want. He said, I have to live here. I have to live here. I can't do those neighbors that way. I was younger then. I was the one that told him, why don't you? I told him one time, since it's zoned agriculture, why don't you get some bawling, fresh, new calves that have just been pulled away from their mother and let those calves sit out there and bawl all night before he vaccinates them and sends them on. He thought that was funny. He said, my God, he said, someone would shoot me over that. I said, but you're within your right. This is agriculture. This clinic has been zoned agricultural since the 1960s. Not 20 years. He didn't do it. Everybody complained a mile away that they could hear that. And you know what he did? He started cutting the band off at 8 o'clock. Not 9, not 10, a bar. A place where people wanted to come and have fun. And he said, you know what? It's not worth it to make everybody mad. Do some of y'all remember that? This lady, Miss Knox, you shook your head. So you remember that battle? I do. He was within every bit of his right, but he didn't do it just because he could. So I think that's what we ask ourselves. Like I said, you can hear it in my voice. I'm not happy about this. I cannot believe this is even discussed. There's got to be another option. I don't think Mr. Chadwick should lose any money. I don't think he should be out any money. I don't think so. I think something should be figured out for the behalf. I think that's fair. That's what we do in this community. I think we ought to be fair to everybody here. I think we ought to be fair to Mr. Chadwick and his wife, Dr. Chadwick. Ma'am?
Thank you, Mr. Abels.
Thank you.
I think you've given us a good closing because you've asked for discussion from the council. If we could close the...
Thank you.
Oh, I'm
thank
sorry.
you for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay, one more.
And I don't know y'all's normal procedure, but I do have some handouts if you'll permit me to hand them out to you.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
Mr. Mack, is it?
We'll get it to the clerk. Thank you.
Okay. Well, my name's John Chadwick. My address is 472 County Road, Powderly, Texas, just north of Paris. As it's been mentioned, we purchased this property 5 or 6 years ago for an investment. My brother, his wife's family have been in the real estate for a long time, developing homes, some of the finest homes here, up to Gene Stallings homes, the Circle C Ranch homes, duplexes. I think our name stands for itself in this community. But I was just as shocked as some of these individuals. I went home for the July 4th break, going through the mail, and I see this notice from the city. And I really didn't pay much attention to it. And then Monday night, I opened it, and there's a rezoning on this property. And I called my brother and said, they're trying to rezone our property. I don't understand why. And who initiated this thing? It just seemed really strange. And then I looked on the City of Paris website, and that's this first page. And any of you people can look the same stuff up. It's all off the city website. The zoning change application. If you'll go to the second page, please. And it says, who can request a change in the zoning on a property? Any person or corporation having a proprietary interest in the property, that means you got to own the property to request a change. And I know this is run long. I'm not going to read the rest of that page to you, but it clearly states you have to own an interest in the property to request a change. So that had me really confused because, you know, like it's been stated, it's been over 20 years. We've owned it. You know, I was surprised that it's even being mentioned for the Brownwood addition because it's fully developed. And the next page, page 3, is just some facts, not opinions, and an outline of this property, because I do feel that the map that's presented doesn't treat us fairly. One, the photograph just shows the neighborhood. It's not a photograph showing the Elks Lodge there. The boundary on the map covers up the Elks Lodge. It's almost like somebody had a plan to make it look like there's just a neighborhood sitting out there in farmland. There's not. There's the Elks Lodge. And the Elks Lodge, I've been there, had a lot of fun times. Great place to go on New Year's Eve and a lot of other bands and stuff. They serve, it's a good group of people. They have fun. But they do have late nights there. There is loud music there. But anyway, on this page, you can see the outline in red of the Elks Club. You see the outline of the neighborhood. And you can see the outline of our property. And my brother and I, we spent a lot of time looking through maps. All of this is on the city website, the Appraiser District website. You can go out and look up the zoning information. It's there for the public, as it should be, and I appreciate the work that goes into it. We found this property. We specifically were looking for a property in the northeast quadrant of the city, a property that was outside the loop. And why do we do that? Because being outside the loop is a place most people want to live that come to town. It's an area you could build a new property, clean property. It's away from a lot of the city activity that goes on. And we're concerned about crime as much as anybody back here. That's the reason a lot of people want to move further out. Some people, and to try to make the accusation that anybody that lives in an apartment or a duplex is a criminal or a transient is crazy. I'm the COO of a company. I've lived in duplexes and apartments. I have 3 degrees. They're not. There's criminals out there living in their neighborhood that they don't know about. There's criminals in $1 million homes. So those accusations just don't fly. And the other thing, if you look at this map, I'm sorry I got off there, but some of that stuff just doesn't make sense. You see our properties between the Elks Club and the subdivision. That's called a buffer property. And I don't know how much of y'all spend a lot of time with the Planning Zoning Commission on definitions of buffer properties, but this is considered a buffer property. It's a property between a commercial building, something like the Elks Club, and a subdivision. There was a reason the Davin wasn't fully developed, because it was right next to the Elks Club back then. And on the long-term planning maps, which follow in this presentation, this road in front of the Elks Club, in front of Davwick, is designated a collector roadway in the master plan of Paris. A collector roadway. That means you want to have your multifamily properties on a collector roadway. And yes, it's easy to say there's other properties out there, go find them. We've looked. Do you know outside the loop how many acres are designated multifamily? Anybody? Less than 3 acres if you're lucky. There's thousands of acres agriculture that people could build single-family homes on. But guess what? You got to go buy them, you got to go do it. We don't have the money to go buy hundreds of acres and develop $300,000 single-family homes, $400,000 with today's prices on materials. So we invested in this property. And, you know, I hate to say this, but the board can do what it wants. We have legal rights, and we're going to protect our legal rights. We did our research. We found this. We didn't go behind these people's back and zone this multifamily 2. We don't operate that way. It was multifamily 2. They could have done their research. Their realtors could have told them about this stuff. It's been that way a long time. If you don't mind going to the next page, future land use. And again, all this is off the Paris website. Under moderate density residential, it says moderate density land use often provides areas for empty nesters. And I heard the lady earlier comment about a sister coming to town. You know, not everybody can take care of a big property, mow it, all the maintenance. They don't have the income. They're on a fixed income. They can't afford it. But do they want to be out in more of a country environment? Yes, they do. It's not just criminals that move out to these kind of properties. Then you read on down. It says the patio home or townhomes provide a buffer between single-family land uses and major thoroughfares or collectors. Now, does that sound like our property? It does to me. The next page, please. And I appreciate y'all's patience with me, I really do. Thank you. The next page, I think it says 27 on the bottom. And again, this is something off the Paris website, city council stuff. It says the basis of decision-making, rezoning properties. It is important that decisions not be based only on the opinions of the largest or most vocal group of participants. Instead, zoning decisions must be based on the best interest of the entire community. That's the entire community of Paris, the city of Paris. And it says, city council should try to distinguish between facts and opinions at a public hearing. And I get it. I feel sorry for these people, and thank God for us, or I guess our planning guy filing this rezoning, that they get to come up here and let you finally hear about their water problems. We didn't cause that. It's been that way for 20 years. They should have already been up here. To try to say we're the... We don't want it worse. We don't want it worse. We didn't interrupt y'all, please.
You could have interrupted me, I would have walked.
Please. It says the city council should try and distinguish between the facts and opinions at a public hearing. Unsubstantiated assertions. For example, this project will reduce the value of my property by 75%. Generalizations. People who live in apartments always drive fast cars and race up and down the streets. Should be analyzed for the validity. Do they have any facts that all criminals move into multifamily properties? I don't think so. Do they have any facts that there will be more trash? I don't think so. Do they have any facts that there will be water drainage issues because we moved there? I don't think so. I get it. That we didn't bring all this mess up. If you go to the next map, it's just a shot of your master thoroughfare plan. Again, I didn't grab or make this stuff up. And the next couple of pages are just maps that are on y'all's website. But I do want to point out that, we try to work with people. We bought this. We don't have any concrete plans on this right now. And I'm still trying to figure out why this came to the forefront. And I don't know how many people on the city council know that there was a special meeting held. This wasn't a regular zoning planning commission meeting. It was a special meeting. You know how many special meetings y'all have had in the last 10 years for planning and zoning issues like this? 0. Something smells. It really smells here.
Excuse me, we have not had a planner. So we have a planner on board, which is, he's doing his job, is finding irregularities.
Well, let me ask you, does anybody on this council live in this neighborhood?
Yes, I do.
Yes, several of us do.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
Last thing, my name's Aaron Gifford, and nobody lives at the Elks Lodge. Nobody resides there. We live there. You want to worry about you? Are you concerned about your money? Are you concerned about the city? Mayor. The people? You want to get up here and grind about criminals? You play that somewhere else.
Sir, you're
If I may,
you're out of order.
I know this is my third time.
We can disagree without being disagreeable.
I'm not disagreeing, ma'am. I'm saying that there is dozens of people that's on this petition. There is dozens of people that showed up here to say this is wrong. We have 3 people that want to approve it. You got the owners and the builder.
Thank you.
Can we get this straightened out here before it goes forward? We're not here tonight to vote on this multifamily lot. This has not even been put back for.
Please state your name
My name
and
is
where
Richard-
you live.
Richard Thompson. I live in I own multiple properties. I own in Brownwood, I own in West Side, and all that. So what I'd like to say is, we are off track, people. We're not here on this guy's lot. That doesn't go for B and Z till, what, 2nd? August 2nd?
It's on the agenda, it can be.
The agenda tonight is to vote on rezoning Brownwood only.
No, it isn't.
You're talking about this lot is still incorporated in this?
Yes.
I'm with everybody else. How did this come about? You're trying to, I'm agreeing with, you're up. You're trying to sneak it by.
We're not trying to sneak anything by. This was posted. We have 3 options. I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for discussion. We have the option of denying the change on both properties, approving the change on both properties, which would require a supermajority, 6 of the 7 council members voting, or to withdraw the request for the rezoning and bring them back next week to the planning and zoning of just Brownwood being rezoned single family. Council, I'll hear discussion or questions of Mr. Mack.
I have a question for you, Mayor. Since you live in this district, and I'm gonna talk later, but is this a conflict of interest for you to vote? I'm just asking, is this because I've read the information and you're in favor. So just to keep everything fair, and that's why a lot of people don't like me, because we do know majority rule don't always rule, because that didn't go that way several weeks ago. Majority rule did not rule in this building several weeks ago. So majority rule, I appreciate people showing up, giving your opinion, but in your conversation, listening, Mayor, I don't feel like you should vote in this because you have a personal vested interest, and you're going to show bias. I mean, I would show bias. I would excuse myself from it because you're the mayor, not for just Brownwood, you're the mayor for the city of Paris, for the whole community. So it would be probably to the best interest of everyone in here that you did not vote on this agenda item because you're going to show bias. And I understand why you would. I truly understand, but I don't think that gives the other side a chance, a fighting chance. So that's just my opinion. That's just my thought. I just try to keep things fair and equal. And people don't always like me because I try to keep things fair and equal. And the law is the law. And if we're looking at, if citizens are pulling stuff off of the city's website and saying, who can request a change in the zoning on property, and any person or corporation have a proprietorship interest and the property may petition, which one of these constituents or in Brownwood made the petition because it's not their property, correct? So, you know, so if people are, we need to change our website or change something, but we can't go around changing policies and procedures and zoning because to make the majority happy. It's more than just majority, it's the community as a whole and what's best for the whole community, not just one section. And if we're going to start making decisions on the majority, we need to do it in every community, in every section of Paris, not just in certain neighborhoods and not just in your neighborhood. It needs to be all over because we did not do that several weeks ago. You know, I'm not here for people to like me. I'm just here to do the right thing and to be fair and just and consistent in what we do, because that's what I decided to be on this council for, is to be consistent and fair to everybody. Again, I don't feel like you should vote on this agenda item because you're not going to have a clear view of the big picture.
Ms. Stone, to answer that question, I don't believe that this fits our ordinance as to rise to the level of conflict of interest that would require the mayor to recuse herself.
Okay.
Please. Further discussion or questions of Mr. Mack?
I would like to ask a couple questions here. We've clearly heard two sides here, and many have stated, you know, we are not all zoning experts here. So let's make sure we understand all the facts and make sure we understand every bit of this. Mr. Mack, if you'll help me. This land altogether has been zoned multifamily since what, 1983, is that correct?
2007.
2007. All of this has been multifamily.
No, the 3.6 acre tract was changed from agriculture to multifamily, MF2.
Okay. Now, how long has Brownwood been, what's the history of Brownwood in terms of zoning?
Brownwood subdivision, before it was developed, it was rezoned from agriculture to MF1, which is the current zoning still today.
Can you move the microphone a little closer to you, Mr. Mack? And I think the audience will hear you better. Thank you.
And I guess I'm baffled that this question hasn't been brought up for that long. You know what I mean? Is anyone else kind of questioning that or scratching their heads? Because after looking at this case, and I happened to be at that planning and zoning meeting, and I'll be very honest with you all, the reason why I would even want to think about putting this back to planning and zoning, because this many people weren't there. You have the right to have a voice. So whether it be for or against or whatever, those planning and zoning individuals did not see that. And I think that a couple people voicing their opinions, I understand you may not be able to come out, but I think that voicing that opinion to the Planning and Zoning Commission is very important. We have to trust their opinions and their valuations. That's why we chose them to be on the Planning and Zoning Commission, right? And I've been on there. Mr. Bryan, Dr. O'Brien has been on there. Many of us have served on some of these boards. And so I say that in the fact that, we're scratching our heads saying, hey, the owners of the property didn't suggest this. Citizens didn't suggest this. Where is this coming from? And I think that a lot of this has come back from a couple years ago, and with credit to a new position we have, we needed this position. Mr. Mack has done a fantastic job. But I will tell you, in terms of getting a future land use map together and trying to coordinate proper areas of our community, that is at the forefront of our community. That's why we have these questions of why is West Side not being developed versus another part of the community. I'm not going to go off into the weeds on this because we're here to talk about this. But that's my honest opinion on this matter. Is it's not fair necessarily to them. They own that property. They bought it under that. If someone told me, hey, this is my property, I just bought this property, and now the city's going to come in and say, hey, because of the spot zoning, we can't do this, I would be scratching my head that way too. But then also on your side, I see exactly what you're talking about. If I were in your shoes, I totally understand. I have a business right next to an area that has an apartment complex. So I understand the struggles. I totally understand it. But I try to work amicably and in a community, just like what I believe Mr. Abels had said. We want to work as a community. So either way, whatever way this goes, we've been in some interesting positions where we've had to decide either way, and it was never easy sitting on that planning and zoning board and now sitting in council. It's never been easy. But I will tell you this. I've seen some tiffs here. We are a community and we have to work together. And I please implore you to please, let's work together. We have to come together. We sit here to serve, and we do it out of the goodness because of you. And you guys put us here. So I really want to just take a moment and just to say that, just to clear my chest. I know that there's a lot of tension. I know we all feel that. Just hopefully people feel a little bit more comfortable just by getting the elephant out of the room. But whatever way this goes, I hope that we can all work together to be able to live amicably. And that's all I have to say about it. My honest opinion on this is I really think that we need to continue to view this out. And whatever happens, happens. At the end of the day, I think the facts need to come out. We need to have a proper understanding and get a proper understanding of the whole situation from both aspects. And I think planning and zoning really needs to understand with more direction from the city. And then also, I know that they had a special meeting on that to understand how our zoning's going for the future land use map. I think it would be good to have another discussion and maybe to figure out what else can we do to compromise.
Mayor, we've had these kind of conversations before many times here, and you have led the charge and encouraged the existing homeowners to work with the developers in order to find out what kind of development they're going to put in there. Sure, it may be multifamily, but are they talking about putting in high-rise apartments, or are they talking about just doing the smaller kind of duplexes that you see in town that are not as
aesthetically pleasing?
Exactly is where we're going. Have you and your contingency visited to find out just what exactly they're trying to, what their ideas are for this development?
Well, I was very pleased to see on the handout that Mr. Chadwick gave us the idea of patio homes. There's a development in town on Primrose and 42nd where my mother built a patio home and has lived in for 20 years. It's a wonderful neighborhood. They're almost all widows or widowers. They take care of their property. They take care of one another. This 3-acre lot would be a perfect place for that. So why does it have to be rental property, build patio homes to sell? I have neighbors 2 doors from me who moved here from Florida because their children were here. They wanted to be in a 55-plus community. Guess what? Paris doesn't have one. And since I'm getting ready for my 55th high school reunion, it might tell you there's a big market there for that type of development. It looks to me like this would be a wonderful addition
I've got a question. First of all, I'm not going to suggest what people build on their own lots. I mean, that's like somebody buying a lot on Lamar and they want to put a hamburger stand, but we come up here and say, well, most of the people in that area don't like hamburgers, so why don't you build a hot dog stand? So I'm not even going to make that suggestion. But I think what we need to clarify first, this information that was pulled off the website, we've got these two properties, the Davenport and Brownwood, connected on this motion. So we need to clarify first of all, who can file a petition to amend a zone on somebody's property, and then who did? That's kind of, I think that's a question that came up in the conversation. So who is this a fact, Stephanie, that the owner, somebody that owns that land has to do that, make that motion or that amendment?
For an individual or a corporation to do that, it has to be somebody with a proprietary interest in the property, an owner of the property, or somebody on behalf of the owner of the property. However, the city can initiate on its own initiative a zoning change, and that's what happened here.
Okay. I just think that needed to be clarified because I think there was some confusion there. Looked like there's a lot of confusion all the way around. But, I'm not going to make suggestions on what people should do. I think our dilemma here is to either approve, withdraw, or deny it.
Excuse me,
You have to ask her.
This was initiated by an individual who went to the city. It was not the city sitting in their office looking at the maps going, today's cleanup map day. It was initiated by an individual that no longer owns a property in the subdivision. So it wasn't anybody that owns the property, it was the planner.
His property is under contract, and he is selling partly because of the zoning issue. Any further discussion from council? Mr. Pilgrim.
I have a question about the gentleman about the hot dogs or the hamburgers. I'm curious about that.
Well, hold on. Yeah, it's not a public discussion. I wouldn't address it to you.
Not a
I'm
public
talking-
discussion
yeah.
anymore, that we've closed the public hearing. This,
Are we still under public hearing?
this is council's time to discuss, Mr. Abels. Thank you. Mr. Pilgrim.
Thank you. So, property values. I'm an appraiser. I'm a real estate broker. That's all I do. I don't do anything else. I buy and sell, trade. I have clients that develop. I have clients that have properties that are developments are going in next to them. It's a tough thing. And I understand everybody's opinion in here, both sides of the thing, the Chadwicks as well as the residents. Change is a tough thing. I have a property behind my house. Love them to death. They're good neighbors. And they don't do what I think they should do. They have a bunch of noisy dogs and they have a chain link fence, and I don't like either one of them. But that's theirs. It's not mine. I could buy it. I could do what I want to with it. I could change that. I'm not going to. I'm going to either live with it or I'm going to move somewhere else. And somebody had said it, but a real estate agent is exactly what a real estate agent is. They guide you in buying a home. They look at surrounding things that could influence you in the future or at current use. So I implore you, if you go get you a real estate agent, get one that can understand what that does. I don't sell homes, so don't call me. I'm totally against moving this. This is a breach of contract. This is a extremely dangerous, slippery slope that we're even thinking about. Mayor, I understand you live there, and I understand your concern. I understand everybody else's concern, but we have a fiduciary responsibility on this council to uphold the rules and the laws that we have written. If the Chadwicks bought the property and wanted to change that zoning from multifamily to whatever different zoning that would be applicable for the property, that'd be different. They own the property, they bought it with the intention, it was already multifamily. We cannot go back on that. It would be no different than me walking out there to Campbell Soup and telling them, this is not commercial anymore, this is residential, y'all need to go. It's no different. Different investment scale, different amount of money. Excuse me. It is exactly the same. We cannot
This
excuse
is a
me.
council discussion, and we will have you removed if you do not listen, please.
I'm speaking to the whole crowd and I have a microphone. Thank you. I hate it, but that's the way it is. And I hate that. And like I said, it's tough. But we've had them come before us and they're talking about how pretty the pasture was in front of their home. And this is somebody's hard-earned money that they've invested. And as far as property values going down statistically and as a professional in the field, your property values will not decrease. Your properties increase with development. You have your rules. You have your rules, and we have our regulations to build and put in. Mr. Mack has to approve those plans. Those plans, we can't just go out and build teepees and tent huts and whatever we want. We have to build structures that are within the code enforcement of the city. They'll be probably more code efficient than a lot of the homes that are in Brownwood now. I hate that for everybody involved, that we have to get up here and everybody's got to get in a boxing match, but that's where we're at. And I totally disagree with rezoning the 3.2 acres. I think that should be a no-brainer. We should deny that request and move on. However, for the Brownwood neighborhood, I would see that moving that from multifamily to single-family makes a lot of sense. But for the Davin-Wick property, I can't even fathom getting on board with rezoning that property after they've already purchased it, and it's been that way for several years. Thank you.
Thank
Mayor,
you, Mr. Pilgrim.
Can I clarify something? And I think Mr. Abels and probably others took my comments wrong. What I was saying, I was not saying that the council cannot change the zoning, or if I was in favor one way or the other. I was addressing comments from the audience and comments from people up here. You know, once we change it or leave it the way it is, we can't tell somebody what to build on it as long as they're going by how it's zoned. That's the point I was making. We can't say, well, you can build a rental house or you can build duplexes. I was just making the point that our job is to zone it or leave it the way it is or whatever, or change the zone. That's our job up here, not to offer the Chadwicks and Smallwoods advice on what they should build on it. That was my point on that.
Sir, then you didn't hear me correctly. That wasn't my point.
Okay.
That's not what I said, but that's okay.
Mr. Hughes, any
Yes.
comments?
I can understand Mr. Chadwick's and Mr. Smallwood's stance, and I can also understand on some parts of Brentwood's. But some things that were mentioned from the Brentwood community concerned me. There was mention of transits are going to move in, the crime rate is going to go up, it's going to be unsafe, a 20% decrease in value of your properties, the risk. I don't understand, where do you get those factual, is that fact, or are you just assuming that's going to happen? As a mayor pro tem of this city, I don't, that concerns me. And actually, it bothers me that was even mentioned. Listen, I have the floor. Do you want to be removed from this building, sir?
Please listen to our discussion. You've had your turn to talk, and we didn't interrupt you.
It would be unfair for the community, for me to sit here and people that are viewing, for me not to even mention anything about that. So that troubles me. Do I think that there's further, it needs to be discussed further? Yes, I certainly do. But the rules and regulations are set forth, and I'm not in, I agree with the most. We have a right to do the right thing here. Everybody's not going to agree. We're going to agree to disagree, but we shouldn't be in here going back and forth with each other. That is not why I chose to get elected. I told myself I would never do that up here with my council, and I would ask that the citizens not do that with us, or we're not going to do it with you. Just respect each other's decision, whether we agree or not. But some of the things that were mentioned trouble me, and I just want that just to be known. But I do think it needs to be discussed a little further, and I'm okay with that. Thank you.
And to Ms. Knox's comment, I think most of my neighbors in Brownwood and on 36th Street would love a chance to visit with the Chadwicks about what they could put in there. I don't understand why it has to be rental property. We have a shortage of homes to buy. My next door neighbors sold their home with 3 children under the age of 6 and then could not find a home. They moved in with her mother. And no, we're through with the public hearing. We've taken enough of everybody's time. But, okay. Okay.
If this goes back to planning and zoning, is it just Brownwood or Brownwood and the other property?
I was about to get to that. We have a recommendation by the staff. Well, I didn't finish my thought. We would love to visit with them and see. There was a rumor going around that it was going to be low-income housing. Well, it doesn't matter what it is. What we want is people that will take care of their property. We've got some neighbors that we still wish in Brownwood would take care of their properties better. But we need some reassurance of what the Chadwicks would be willing to sit down with us and find out. But as to the issue right now, unless there's more discussion from council, do I hear a motion to withdraw this from the agenda, and it will be put back on a council agenda, P&Z agenda, just Brownwood to be rezoned, and then it will be brought to council. Do I hear a motion?
This is only on Brownwood,
To
correct?
withdraw both, and then it will go back to planning and zoning. I don't know what Mr. Mack will plan on that.
That public hearing has already been advertised. It will be held unless the council rules on this in favor. Then it would be a moot point at that point. But if this is withdrawn as recommended by the staff, there will be a public hearing held. It is scheduled for August 2nd, 5:30 p.m. here in this chambers for just the Brownwood subdivision.
Just the Brownwood subdivision to be zoned single-family, correct?
Correct.
So, do I hear a motion to withdraw this from the agenda?
Just the Brownwood.
No, it's the entire
No,
item on the
entire
agenda.
item to be withdrawn.
Can I ask one question before we do that?
Yes?
So if the city initiated all this in the first place, then why is the city recommending denial? Or withdrawal, actually? And then when we go back, it's only gonna be Brownwood. I'm not understanding something here.
Because the Planning and Zoning Commission, I was at the meeting, they did not seem to have any hesitation about rezoning Brownwood as single family. Their concern was rezoning the 3 whatever acres.
Why can we not make two motions here? One motion to move the Brownwood over as withdrawn, and then vote on the Davenwick as a separate item. Why are we voting both of them in the same?
It's a single agenda item. I mean, what your choices are is to follow the staff's recommendation to withdraw this, and they'll come back to planning and zoning next week with simply the Brownwood, taking the Davenport or the Davenwick property off of it. Your other choices are to move to either deny or approve.
So we're just voting to put Brownwood back on the agenda for the planning and zoning.
Well, you're not voting to do that because staff's already done that.
So this has nothing to do with Davenwick.
Well, what you would be doing is allowing the withdrawal of a petition that has Davenwick on it. The next petition does not have Davenwick on it. So by withdrawing it now, you're taking Davenwick out of it altogether.
So then it will be a change for Brownwood from MF1 to SF2. Is that correct?
Yes.
I believe that's correct.
Okay. I'll move that we accept the withdrawal of the city initiating the rezoning application then.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Knox. Any more discussion? It's been moved and seconded that we withdraw this petition. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no.
I'm still confused on the vote here.
Are we going to bring the other one back?
Okay.
That's not to be voted on.
I'll try again. And I'm sorry if I'm
If
being.
this gets withdrawn, will Davenwick be back in the,
No.
No.
Davenwick will be out of the equation.
and they can go do what they need to do?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I was.
All right. I vote yes on there, so add one more in there. To withdraw.
Unanimous. It passes to withdraw that petition. Thank you very much.
And Mayor, if I can say something real quick
Yes.
too. I mean, on behalf of the staff, I mean, obviously, I'm the one that's tasked them with performing the duties that they have done. And our job as a city planner is to go about looking at the future land use, the zoning and so forth. So Andrew and staff obviously work under my direction of these things here. So they've been forming their staff per law, per the code. And so this was a city initiated item, and so that is allowed. But I would encourage anyone, if they had the concerns about staff, to direct them to me. And so, because they did not act under my ultimate, I'm the one that tasks them with the duties that they give, and so.
Thank you, Mr. Path. Item number 16, discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of the City of Paris to adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 5, Article 5.07, Division 4, Mobile Food Units and Food Truck Parks. Mr. Mack, do you have a presentation, please?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. We have a recommendation to you from the Planning Commission to make minor modifications to the ordinance regulating mobile food units and food truck parks. The changes now allow both mobile units in the downtown central area zoning district for daytime operations and food truck parks by special use permit in the downtown. So that was the principal change in this. There is a demand for this type of activity in the downtown, and there's also been some minor changes recommended in here for how the food truck parks can be set up, allowing for some more flexibility. This is definitely a business-friendly amendment to the code, and staff is recommending your approval of the changes this evening.
Thank you. Any discussion?
The only question I have is this, and I'm remembering hearing the engagement between everyone on this. Having the permit for one day kind of seemed, one day out, was it 1 or 2 days out of the year for the business? Is that?
Correct. That is also a new component that would allow businesses that don't have any off-street parking, any private property, allows them to go and take up the public parking spaces on the street. So it would create a new permit called a special promotion permit that allows a business for one permit per year for up to a maximum of 2 days consecutive to occupy 2 parallel spaces in front of their business where they can allow a food truck to come in. They'd still have to be inspected. They'd be provided a service of inspection by the city, as well as assistance with securing the parking spaces from customers parking in it for the 2 days. Or 3 spaces with diagonal would need to be contiguous to the business. This would be the creation of a new permit, which includes a fee amount in the ordinance itself as well.
The only question I have to council is, maybe I'm overthinking this, so that's why I want to kind of discuss this with you guys. What if a business has a different event, let's just say a festival or something, I don't know, if they have multiple festivals per season, whatever the case may be, would that be a limit to them for that opportunity? Because it sounds like it. I mean, if they wanted to have a food truck back out or something for a festival or whatever, maybe a work party, Could they possibly do that? Could they get a waiver for a second time use or anything like that?
So a festival might involve the closing down of a street. So that falls under a different permit. They could request that additional permit. That goes through a more rigorous review with all of the department heads involving, various things for traffic control and so forth. So, but yes, that opportunity would be there.
So, Andrew, this permit or this petition or ordinance, it only covers the food truck business, right? Not, say, the business on the square. It's not for the business on the square, the permit. It's for the food truck. So if you had multiple events, if a business had multiple events that they wanted to celebrate their employees or whatever, you could have multiple food trucks over the course of a year. So it wouldn't limit the business to their celebrations. It would just limit the food truck. Each food truck could only get one permit per year. Am I correct?
No, that's not correct. We would actually have an application from the business itself to allow the food truck.
Oh, I got you.
Now, if it's on the private property, they won't need that permit. They just need the annual license for the food truck itself on private property. This is just strictly to occupy basically public parking spaces in downtown.
This is made so we don't have 30 food trucks go park downtown.
Correct.
All right, I will open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak, please state your name and address. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing.
Thank you.
I'm Brandon Schaefer, and it's no big secret. I own Smoking Good Eats, and we have a large demand from our public to operate and to keep going in the city. When Andrew Mack first come on board with us or with the city, he came to me and said that I was operating in the central zone, and he's worked quite a bit with us to get us moved to commercial. And I don't even know if we are commercial zoned yet or not. But some of the things that's going on with the food truck industry and everything, and what Paris wants and what they expect, aesthetically of the business that's operating there. I mean, I understand you want a nice place to look at, and you want something that people want to come to and something that draws them to. The only thing is the city ordinance. It could use some food truck operators that help with the owner-operator experience, you know what I mean? Whenever you guys write the ordinance, I think that's what I'm trying to say is whenever you guys are writing these ordinance, it would help if you had some food truck operators on there that could kind of, put forth some, forethought of it all and all that, because we've been in business tomorrow. I need to renew my permit tomorrow. It's been a year. And within a year, I've got over 2,000 likes on Facebook. We got a 5 out of 5 rating. We just set up at the trade days in Reno. We had a successful weekend. I mean, it blows me away how much support we get from the community. But we put out a quality product. I think sometimes, we roll up as a food truck, we get discredited what we got. But I mean, I don't short anything on as far as product goes. Saturday afternoon we got finished up, and we showed up with a case of briskets, and we sold all of them Saturday. And so that left me scrounging to go find more briskets so we can open on Sunday, and it left Melissa, my wife, going to Sherman to get packaging and stuff that we were running short on. So what I guess I'm saying is, whenever you say that we can't leave our food truck there overnight, or we can't, you want it mobile all the time. I mean, we own 903 Auto Sales too. And if you go around that corner, you can see we got our pots and our plants and our flowers, and we try to be aesthetically pleasing on that corner as we can. And I'm also got everything, since I have invested in that corner, and I have invested in a food truck, I've got my own plumbing, I've got my own electrical, I've got my own drainage, my own sewer, that I can hook up to. And I live on 195, or I live on 196, and I have to go up 195. And for some reason, those people think they own 195 that live, out there in that area, and they'll pull out in front of you. And I don't know how many times I've, had to shut it down quick because somebody pulled out. I'm doing 65, and they want to pull out and make me slow down to 30. And then I have to clean up the mess and everything. So all I'm asking is, you know, and we've been to the city before and asked this, and the bathrooms is always a big concern. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you guys could look at maybe putting in your ordinance where I like to operate on Wednesday through Saturday. If I could show up on Wednesday morning and operate Wednesday through Saturday and have a permit to where I can do that, you know, it would help me out quite a bit, because whenever we operate, I have a 20-hour day, you know, because it takes me, you know, because what I do is when I have to pull my trailer in, set it up. Anybody got a fifth wheel or a camper? Y'all ever been camping? This is what I have to set up, as a fifth wheel camper every day, you know what I mean? And then my product that I do is so much different than everybody else's, because I actually have to smoke 12 to 14 hours to get my product to that box that you guys buy and you enjoy. It's a lot of work, a lot of effort, and when I move that truck, when I operate, it's where my hours go from, you know, a regular operating hour. Like, so if I could leave the trailer there, is what I'm saying, is I can get up at 5 a.m. in the morning, go start my smoker that y'all all see and smell whenever you drive by. I could light that smoker up and I could smoke 12 hours through the day, and I can operate through the day. But right now what I'm doing is I'm having to break everything down, and then I take the trailer and I set it back up at my house, and then my afternoon at 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. starts, and I smoke brisket till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? And then once I wrap them, I put them over into another smoker, and then I go to bed. And then I'm back up at 6 a.m. and my day starts all over again. So all I'm asking is on this is if you guys could just let some of us sit in whenever you guys are writing the ordinance, and let us kind of get the foresight of what we do and what we go through. Because like I said, I do think we get discredited on just being a food truck. And we got a lot of time, we got a lot of money, I got a lot of sweat equity in that business. And we do the best we can to put out the best product. But anyway, I'm rambling now. But I just do appreciate y'all bringing this up to conversate with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Members of council, if I could respond to his
Yes.
comments about the ordinance. Within the change, we did not remove the restriction for mobile units that have to come and go every day. What we did create, though, was a softening in the restrictions if they want to create a food park and allow the trailer to remain there permanently, you know, 24/7, 365 days a year, if they want to set up a permanent park. And that would allow just one unit like they have at that property. But it would require that they come back before the city and request a special use permit for that permanent location. So we did that, but we also lifted the restriction prohibiting from the downtown for the units that do come and go every day. So there's been a significant effort to address the needs of the unit owners.
Okay, ma'am.
I'm the wife. So I am Melissa Schaefer, and I am the part owner with 903 Auto Sales and also Smoking Good Eats. Today, what he's asking for, I don't really think pertains directly to us as a mobile unit. And as a mobile yard, it kind of changes. So you either set up and you move every day, or you set up with more permanency. And when you start looking into the more permanency from the ordinance that I am aware of, that I can, reach on the website, that's not really what y'all are voting on today. So what I'm asking is that what y'all are voting on today, I can't have a public opinion because I haven't seen it. I wasn't there when it was drafted. I don't have any copies of it, and so I don't know how to have an opinion on what y'all are voting on today because I don't know how it affects the ordinance that's actually written. So for me, I would like to be able to speak on areas of the ordinance that may not be brought up today. So like not being allowed to sell a t-shirt. So t-shirt sales can be lucrative for everyone. It's good advertising. They can be used in a lot of different ways. So that's something that can't be done. You can't sell a t-shirt out of a food truck. I don't understand that. I don't know why that would have been put in there. So there's small things like that I think that could be taken out of the ordinance that would allow us to be a little more profitable or have other avenues that can take care of these other things that we find that are just stifling. Like, I understand that y'all want restrooms, but when I go to a single food truck, I don't think, oh, I gotta go there, eat, and then use the restroom before I leave. Usually when you go to a food truck, you get your food, you leave. You don't expect a handicapped bathroom that requires the owner to pay $400 a month or $300 and something a month to have for this one food truck to operate. So there's several areas, and like he was speaking of, when the truck has to move every single day, just like with the camper. So I have silverware and utensils and packaging, and you're limited by your shelving and your space. But when you start moving, all that stuff has to go down somewhere. So I spend 45 minutes setting up and tearing down, setting up and tearing down every single day. And I realized that that's what we take on when we're a food truck. But if the ordinance was a little more owner-operator friendly and business friendly for us, then we would be able to provide maybe earlier lunch hours. If I didn't spend an hour setting up every morning, then I could spend an hour serving breakfast or lunch an hour earlier. So there's ways that we could alter this ordinance that I think an owner-operator would have a lot of input on when it's being written. And that, when y'all vote today, we don't know exactly how it affects us just because we don't have that ordinance, the new ordinance in which they just created. So, anyways, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else speaking on that item? Public hearing is closed. Discussion or questions? Further questions?
Well, on this particular item, and I know that, the couple that brought up the Schaefer's brought up a lot of other things, but are we required, are there state ordinances that we go by, or are there any mandates that we have to go by, or anything like that? And I'm asking this question because they have questions themselves, so it might help explain some things to them.
There are two state mandates. Number one is that as a mobile food handler, you need a state license from the Department of Health, and that is regulated by each county. So that is one state mandate. The other, through the building code that we have adopted, requires that restroom facilities be provided. When you have, for the staff of the mobile food units, that they have something available to use. And when you have tables and seating, it requires it for both the employees and the customers. When bathroom facilities are provided, they are required to be handicap accessible, and that is part of the building code. So those are the two mandates by the state and the city's adoption of the building code.
Okay, and this ordinance before us is designed to not only help the business owners that want to bring in a mobile food truck, but it's advantageous to the mobile food truck business as well, right? And can you tell me in what ways are you thinking, or are the businesses even thinking?
Well, again, specifically, the opportunity, so in the current ordinance, it mandates a commissary for a park. So that has been reduced, so that a commissary is not an absolute requirement, because the food trucks are able to store a lot of their goods and their wares and their product in their mobile unit. Now, if they have another building that can, store supplies that is a permanent structure, then there's even more room, but not a requirement. There's also a requirement that says that now the type of bathroom facility that be provided is optional. It either could be a permanent bathroom facility with a food park, or at the option of the park owner operator, it could be a portable satellite type bathroom facility. Both have to be handicapped, but with the portables, instead of a permanent structure, it would require screening around it on all sides, visible from the roadway and from adjoining properties. So that was a softening of the requirement, certainly a much lower cost than building a permanent bathroom if one doesn't exist, which would also benefit this property.
Could we add, or let me think how to, could we table this and re-talk about it? Because I kind of like his idea on the, was it 24 hours they can be in one spot and then they have to move, or what's the rule right now?
That is currently the rule. We have.
I don't want to get off of the topic.
It's interesting that where y'all have seen at Lamar and Collegiate, we have multiple food trucks showing up there.
Right.
That's not approved as a park. They operate under the mobile license. They do have to go and remove every night. And that was part of the original ordinance that was adopted. So if there's some provision to change that, I apologize, they don't have the ordinance language in front of them. We could certainly provide that, and I certainly would want to get that to them.
I'm just trying to think, could we go ahead and, could we table this, revisit that a little bit, maybe, and then that way we'd have one ordinance instead of two? I'm just thinking out loud.
Remember, a few years ago, we approved a food truck park. I believe it was at 23rd and Clarksville, and I barely ever saw any food trucks there. And they were providing, I believe, tables and umbrellas and I guess hookups. It just didn't, I guess it was the location, but.
They're on private property. Is that private property at that intersection?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if they're on private property and the landowner told them, yeah, you can stay out there 2 days, they still can't stay out there 2 days?
Under the park equation, where they come back through a special use permit, specific use permit, they would be able to leave it out there year-round without moving it.
But then the park thing, you get into the regulation of
Bathrooms.
the bathrooms.
But they do have bathrooms available, I believe, that private owner. They do make bathrooms available, so technically it would conform, is that correct?
We offer bathrooms for ourselves and our employees, but right now, the way our car lot is designed, I mean, we'd have to go in there and watch them, you know what I mean, make sure that nothing happens or.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's what we're
Can we,
My problem is I'm not stepping on Andrew Mack's toes or trying to at all, but I'm just trying to, this is what I've been trying to do since day one with the city.
Can you come to the mic? Can you come to the mic, sir?
All right, so once again, I'm not trying to step on his toes or anything he's trying to do, because I appreciate everything he's doing. But no, I don't feel like out of the year that I've been talking to everybody, nobody's hearing me. I just want to set up on X day, operate through these days, and then go home. And I'm not trying to leave my trailer set up there permanently. I'm not trying to step on any toes at all. I just want to be able to where I can operate, and my job can operate during the day like everybody else's job. Like I can go to work at 5 a.m., go home at 6:30 or 7 at night or whatever. And it also gives me more opportunity, like Melissa said, it opens up. If I get there at 5 a.m., I've heard more than one time there's not really a good place to go get, a taco or something for breakfast, real quick, in and out, And I've even pitched the idea, and Andrew Mack, this was before he came on board with you guys. I pitched the idea of closing my back porch up, and I even had the idea of going in to where you could come off of First Street, come up and close off the back of my trailer, have this little window, and you can have a drive-through, quick and easy and out. Well, then, Roger wants me to put my trailer on an engineered foundation in case the wind gets up. I can understand everybody's concern, and I can understand everybody's, discussion of this, but I don't feel like I've been heard, because my days are 20 hours. I said, I'm not playing. It's when we're operating, and I'm going to Friday and Saturday because it's too hot to operate that truck and work all night at home and try to get everything going. But if I could just get to where I can set up, it's just allow me 4 days. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Let me have 4 days to set up and operate, and then I break it all down and I go home. And we leave the place. It's our place, so I'm not going to desecrate on it or anything like that. I'm not going to mess it up. If you drive by right now, you can see some old cars that I need to work on or that, but I can move that. But I am a car lot. But whenever everything is set up and I've got everything staged where it is, I think it's aesthetically pleasing. My wife has done a fantastic job putting the flowers. We got customers that get strawberries off the plants while they're waiting, and tomatoes. We had one lady. She was determined to have a fried green tomato. But what all I'm saying is, Andrew Mack's doing a fantastic job. He's doing everything that we need to move forward as a food truck. But my biggest thing is financially, I can't put the bathroom facility in. I can't afford to put, you know, a 6-month lease on a handicap porta potty because it's $300 a month. And the little backstory of me, I mean, like I said, Clyde's heard this before anyway. Like I said, I've met with everybody for, you know, a year nearly. I'm just trying to stay home. And my background is in the oil and gas industry. I build LNG projects. I'm a general foreman for Zachary. I've been a foreman and supervisor for Bechtel. And my job, if it's not in that food truck or on that car lot, I'm 6 hours from home. I'm just trying to stay home. I invested my 401k, my retirement in the car lot. COVID hit. We bought $10,000 worth of bad cars in a, you know, online, you know, because they say they run and drive. And I had $30,000 left. And my $30,000 went in that food truck. That's my livelihood running up and down the road. And all I'm saying is I don't have the money to invest, you know, the more into that property until I can actually set up and operate and have a regular schedule that everybody can get on board with. And then the more that, you know, I have and the more my capital gains are, the better I can invest in it. So that's all I got to say on that.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to table this item and just revisit it if we can a little bit on the state part of what he's kind of adding in the same ordinance. So everything else I think is fine, but I think we need to, if there's some way we could figure out a private property, that private property owner may be the one that has to have the permit or fill that permit out for that person, that would be the legality. I think that you could change it. Is that right? We couldn't do tables and chairs and sit down area, obviously, because we would have to have a handicapped bathroom. Is that right?
That's right. I think what he's, asking for is, instead of coming before you with a park, he's asking for you to be more flexible in not requiring the units to be removed every night.
Yeah.
Under the current annual license. And if that's the desire of council, you know, it might not be the desire of the property owners for mobile trucks that don't
If
have
the
a
property
permanent
owner
lease
doesn't want
of
the truck, they can tell them to leave, right?
We have permission and support from the property.
Well, I'm just saying, if you had one rogue food truck that propped up at the intersection and they were a nuisance to the property owner, different. And the property owner obviously can go tell them, hey, we got to go. So, yeah.
Yeah, but the point being that our ordinances and all of that, they have to fit everybody. So we can't design an ordinance to fit one business. So that's, it's not that we don't hear you, it's just that we can't design something to fit Smoking Good Eats. You have to design it to fit everyone. So that's the dilemma here.
Well, and I agree with you, Mr. Savage, but whereas that would actually suit all food trucks.
Yeah, I know
It would
what
suit
he's
all
suggesting,
food
yeah.
trucks. And so whereas what we would like to ask, as he's saying table it, I think it would be nice to have more conversations with all of the food trucks together. Like, I think the food trucks want to work with the city. But we also want to limit our expenses and our battles that we fight in order to provide what we're trying to provide, because it is costly to move it every day. So if we have personal property and we have permission to set up for 4 days straight, then that would benefit every food truck, not just ours.
Yeah. I ain't trying to take over and that, but I don't think we're going to solve it right here. I think we should go ahead and entertain this motion.
We're going to table it. We're not going to do anything. We're going to vote on it. But I'm saying, can we table it and then let's get.
Can I respond to Mr. Savage?
Yeah, please.
The only thing here, though, the only difference between me and all the other food trucks is I paid lease on that corner. I leased that corner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand that.
And so say, and the only way a food truck can operate is if it piggybacks off another business. Well, my wife owns 903 Auto Sales, and she supports me, so I piggyback off of 903 Auto Sales, and I pretty much own that corner. So if Due Days Barbecue, he's a construction company, right? He's in the concrete business. So if he had an operation that was, or an office inside the city limits of Paris where his construction company was set up, and Due Days wanted to tie into his, business, he should have the same right too, the same as everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Harley Davidson with their food
But the
Right.
guys that are setting up on the corner in Collegiate and Lamar, they have no financial ties to that property. They've just got permission from the bank to set up there. So they're kind of freelancing. I'm not really freelancing off that corner. I'm actually paying to be there. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I want to clarify.
So if we have a motion to table and
I was thinking maybe
give staff
a couple, let's talk to a couple of the food truck folks and see, and there may be something else hiding out there that we don't know, but I think we could make some kind of adjustment there that if he sets up, or if any food truck sets up on a private business parking lot, and that private business is okay with them staying overnight, then they can do that. Or if they're leasing a spot and they have an agreement, private agreement with that landowner, I think that would be fair within the, they can't do picnic tables and all that stuff unless they have a handicapable bathroom. Is that right?
That's right.
That's on the state
I'm
side.
going to make a suggestion, if council's of the mind to table this item, that if you could table it to a specific date and give 2 meetings away a month from now, that'd give me a chance to provide the draft language to all the license holders of the mobile units, give them a chance to review it, provide additional feedback, and we won't have to pay to advertise in the paper again for the continued hearing. But I would need at least a month to do that.
I'm good with that.
I'll second with that amendment.
that would be table it until a date certain, which would be Monday, August 23rd, 2021. We've had a second. We've had a motion and a second. All those in favor of tabling until August 23rd, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Item number 17, discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of the City of Paris to adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 9, Exhibit B, zoning ordinance, Section 8, use of land and buildings regarding the uses in the office district and neighborhood services district. Mr. Mack, please make your presentation. Oh, no. Okay, yeah, make your presentation.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Just a little brief history for you on this item. You had a Morningside rezoning that came before the council that was very controversial. It involved a request to change zoning to the office district. That ultimately was withdrawn. The property was sold and the application was withdrawn. But as a part of that discussion and that public hearing, council directed that the office district be examined for the uses. Along with that, you basically, when that was directed, that's a role that the Planning Commission serves. And so we also had on the to-do list for updating of the code and looking at the review of the uses, the neighborhood service district that apparently was an item on the to-do list before I started. So staff spent considerable hours carefully reviewing both of these districts and the permitted uses within those districts. And that was then brought to a work session discussion with the Planning Commission in June. And following that discussion, there was full support of the Planning Commission to move forward with the public hearing to change the regulations. I want to cite one specific change as a result of that I believe addressed the original intent of the council, and that was to eliminate apartments, density apartments in the office district, which is part of the change before you. Now there is several other changes. I'm not going to take time to walk line through this, but it was carefully reviewed by staff, Planning Commission. They have sent that recommendation that it be approved as presented tonight to the City Council, and staff would recommend that you adopt the changes to the ordinance this evening.
Thank you. I will open the public hearing. Anyone speaking for or against must come forward and clearly state your name and address into the microphone.
It's a marathon, isn't it? James O'Brien, 3150 Bonham Street. I've had the police call to me just under 50 times last calendar year for a myriad of legal reasons. Again, I said legal. They were all legal. Not once was I fined or cited for any violations. There's a little bit of a burden on the 911 system since they were all 911 calls. City resources, but biggest is my time having to prove to the responding police officers that I was a legal non-conforming use. Okay, so I asked the city management, what should I do about that, and to try to ease some of the burden of my time and their money and officers, and it was recommended that I rezone. So I paid my $200, went to rezoning, took 4 planning and zoning meetings, 6 city council meetings. That was when Billy Trinata was sick, so it took us a while. Left family vacation, drove over 300 miles to get here for the approval, and it passed. And I've changed nothing. I have done nothing from my single family to my neighborhood services, because just for those of you that aren't familiar, I have a home, and on the back of my home is a separate detached building, which is a neighborhood service, which is a beauty shop. And so there was some confusion there, but that was built in the 70s. So I said, hey, look, in order to avoid these neighborhood conflicts, from the neighborhood calling me, let's just rezone to neighborhood services. The police show up, they go, hey, look, your neighborhood services, everything's fine. So I don't have to explain to them what legal non-conforming use is. Okay? So I got that. And now we're going to change it. That puts me back to where I was. So once we take take beauty shop and my single family home out of neighborhood services, because that's what we're doing here, I'm back to a legal non-conforming use. So I'm back to where I was. Okay. That's, again, when I had my opening statement beginning of this city council, I said legal and fair. Maybe legal to do this, but it's not necessarily fair. So I'm telling you, if this is what we're going to do, I want my $200 back. I want my time back. I want my vacation back. I want my year back, my 9 months back for everything I went through. Now, I know that Mr. Mack is doing a great job, and we're legally allowed to do this, but it does clean things up. It makes the job easier for you to enforce it, for the city to enforce it, but it doesn't make it easier for me or the responding police officers when my neighbor gets a hold of this again and starts calling again. So I'm willing to leave right now if every time she calls, Mr. Path or Mr. Mack is going to show up and explain to the police officers what legal non-conforming use is. Or you just go ahead and upgrade me to general retail. I mean, the future land use calls for it on that lot. So either way, I want my problem solved. So I'm okay with the changes. They make sense. So I went to every planning and zoning meeting, the special sessions for this. It still excludes where we're at. All I'm asking for is a fair shot. So give me some sort of compromise for all of my work and effort and money that I did to try to alleviate my problem. Either give me my money back, which I'd rather not have, okay, because that means I'm going to have to go back through this whole process again and ask for general retail, or just give me general retail. Again, nothing will change. It hasn't since we've changed. Or come show up every time the police show up, because I don't want to deal with this anymore. I was dealt the cards of a bad neighbor. We've all had some. I've got 2 really bad neighbors that like to call the police on me, and I'm legal. So I'm really frustrated by this change. I understand it, I get it, but I'm frustrated, and I understand what this is going to mean once it passes for me. Okay, I'm back to square one, legal non-conforming use. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Hello again. Richard Thompson, 3206 Bonham Street. This change here, I'm in the office district, and they're saying no residential and office districts. I'm in the same boat as Mr. O'Brien back there. I've already had the police called on me 7 times this year. I was directed by the city to rezone to office because we've had an office there since 1985. We had someone come along and read the codes and the rules, and we were not non-conforming. We didn't do that. We had to pass rezoning. Now I'm back in the same boat again. If these people find out, even our competitors, we also have competitors that would love to have us shut down for a code violation to take our business. It's a competitive world out there. If you get an edge, you're going to take it. You're putting me right back in the same place I was, so what do y'all, non-conforming use does not work. It's like, we have to explain to the police, we're doing this, we're doing that. My competitors are gonna love it. So what are we gonna do to make this, do I have to go back to rezone again? That's gonna be tough. So, I'd ask y'all to cut us some slack on this one. Thank you. Be fair.
Any other speakers? I'll close the public hearing. Discussion, council?
So I happened to be at the same P&Z meeting that the two gentlemen spoke on. They both happen to be my constituents, and they're both in my district. So I sense their frustration, and I completely agree. And I don't think that's anyone's fault. I don't think that's the city's fault. This is just, like Dr. O'Brien said, it just happens to be a circumstantial situation that just seems to be a conundrum right now. Is there a policy, or is there a precedent that council has set in the past where you grandfather someone in, or do something to that nature, saying that this was recently done? And I'm just curious, because from a business standpoint, I can understand that.
There's really no such thing as grandfathering. As they said, what they will have, if the zoning is changed, is a legal non-conforming use. They don't have to change anything, they don't have to do anything in terms of being able to operate as they have been. In order, we can't just rezone for them. It has to go through this process, unfortunately, in this situation. And it's a bad deal, I understand that.
So there's multiple businesses on Clarksville Street as well that are in homes, or they were homes, switched over to commercial businesses. Those are same kind of process. They're gonna have to go back through, I mean, it's.
To get rezoned, they'll have to do that.
I was under the deal that we were gonna be able, they would get grandfathered. So if you're already currently.
Right, but the term for that is legal non-conforming use. It's a use that is not conforming to the current zoning, but it was that way when the zoning was changed, so it's legal. It's still a legal use.
So they're not gonna, and I was on the council when all that happened for both of them, and that was a bloodbath, I'm sorry. But I totally agree. I don't want not just these two guys, but there's several up and down there I'm seeing. So nobody's gonna have to really do anything?
No.
Okay. If they sell a property, would that, from one person to another, would that change that?
It doesn't change that. What triggers that, and Andrew can correct me if I'm wrong, but what will trigger it no longer being a non-conforming use is a change in use.
Okay.
Or discontinuance of use over X number of months.
So,
and I'm not clear from Dr. O'Brien, because I don't believe that I think that salon is a permitted use in the neighborhood service district. So I'm not clear what he's saying we're gonna make non-conforming.
Can both of y'all come up?
Is it the residential, single-family component?
I don't recall seeing that the beauty salon is a neighborhood services, but also having, because it's on the same lot, having the single-family home with that makes it a legal non-conforming use. That's my understanding. It's very confusing.
I don't have it. Wait, let me give you.
You want this thing?
And I believe if you pull a building permit under a legal non-conforming, that triggers something different.
I do know that we talked about, if we have two existing businesses and suddenly we have a vacant lot in between, do we want a new single-family home being built in between those two businesses, creating a conflict of use? And so that was what the Planning Commission felt was an appropriate change, as recommended by staff. So if I were to go to retail and service uses for the beauty shop, that would be a permitted use as a type of neighborhood service use to have a salon provided, in that district. So, but with the home,
The home is not allowed in a neighborhood service.
it would continue to be allowed to exist. What would be restricted would be future additions or expansion of the home to go out or to go up. Intensification of use would be the restriction, not the continued use of the home. Somebody's in a home, they're living in a home, they're able to continue doing that. The police can't go and tell somebody they're not zoned for home, sorry, you gotta move. It doesn't work that way.
So herein lies the problem, because we're getting ready to expand the home.
So, if
But if the building, if he's got two buildings, he's got an outbuilding, that's a salon, and he's got a home, he can't go add on to his home, it affects the salon?
it would be the resident component. Now, yes, so that's true. We passed this as is. The option is, if this is the last remaining concern, we could change that as a prohibited use to allow it through a public hearing, through a special use permit.
There's multiple.
Or to make it just permitted by right in that neighborhood service district. I mean, this council's legislating the change here. If this addresses the issue by making a simple change, it would apply to his situation, but it would also apply community-wide.
Is there a special use permit that would cover this type of situation, or something you could think of?
Just by putting an S in this column instead of prohibited.
But then I would still be a legal non-conforming use under that. I'd have to reapply for that special use.
If we make it a public hearing for a use to exist in a district, that means that under certain circumstances and conditions that the council and planning commission can impose, that use can be approved. But it's just not an automatic permitted by right.
And I'd like to say to the council too, since this is kind of an open discussion, I'm willing to, I understand we have to make a rule that affects the entire city-wide, and that's why I'm asking about the special use, versus changing the rules, compromise for all neighborhood services, allowing a home on that. I get that. I'd be willing to spend another $200 and go through to get a special use. To me, it's worth the time and money to do that. If there's a reasonable chance I could get it passed, to do that, just so when the police do show up, I can say, look, I got a special use permit for this that allows this. So take that for what it's worth.
So the council tonight, yes, you can, I mean, there's a series of items here that are being changed from prohibited to permitted to SUP. So on these particular items here, you could adjust that particular item in the neighborhood services if you so wish. I think that's what Andrew's saying, if you wanted to make it permitted or SUP. And so that's something that you have the authority to make a change if you so wished, so.
And I would suggest, in order to do that, what you would do is that you would make a motion to approve with certain changes, and that way I go change the ordinance that's in the folder.
I have a question. Where did this originate to change this? Just general cleanup?
Please speak into the mic.
Where did this generate to change?
I can speak to that again. Again, we had a very controversial rezoning before this body.
Okay.
And it was withdrawn, but the council directed staff to review the office district. We chose to review both office and neighborhood service, and it was taken for discussion with the planning commission. And that's how it's come back through the process to get to where it is today. So on the very second page of the ordinance in your packets, it starts with the primary residential uses.
Mm-hmm.
The very first line is one family dwelling detached. That's what you have along with your property. So that was proposed to be, currently is allowed as a permitted use, and it's being deleted to make that a prohibited use. So it would be just a matter of changing that from currently permitted use to, instead of making it prohibited, We would just put S in that column and make that a special use.
And then
You
that
can, you can
apply.
do that, or you can make it, just keep it as permitted as well. So, I mean, we propose to prohibit it, but you can either make it an S or just leave it as it is, as permitted, so.
Can I ask, has there been any other case issues where it's problematic having that set up, where there is a home along with a neighborhood service business there? That would,
Again, I wasn't
for
familiar
office.
with the specific situation and the history here. I but maybe been a little bit more sensitive to it if I really understood that.
I think I'm just saying more in terms of is when we pass it and then we go forward, not just for you two, but the other 30 or, I mean, there's several of them on Lamar and there's several of them over by y'all's place, over down Clarksville, down in my district that are everything from administration offices to there was one that was architect, there's a lawyer. I mean, we kind of, I don't know, I'm just nervous about it. I think there's still a lot of residential homes in all the districts. I don't want to totally nitpick it, but how do you do that where you don't affect I know we need to change from homes to commercial buildings for office and future retail, but how do you do it without incurring, because if everybody has to go re-permit, then we're gonna, in my opinion, set a precedent we're gonna have a bunch of constituents that are coming up here. No, that, like both of the cases that we had 2 years ago, whenever that was. I don't know. I'm just nervous about it. That's my thoughts.
I don't think you can talk about their situation.
Well, no,
like
I mean,
anybody's situation,
and
because
probably-
we do realize they've got special circumstances.
90% of them probably won't have any trouble. I hate to take anybody that has a business and then we just turn around and change it real quick. That worries me a little bit.
well, that's kind of what I was saying, I'm caught between if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and where this may take for all of the other neighborhood services zonings, and willing to make that compromise that if we need to try for a special use, I'm willing to try it. If it doesn't pass, then I go back to legal non-conforming use. So it's whatever y'all think. And the counter to that is, well, if it hasn't been a problem, then why do we need to make it a special use? If it's not an issue. I understand there was an issue. That got resolved on its own through capitalism. They bought the property. And if that's the only isolated incident, then, well, it solved itself.
Well, we've had some other similar situations. Remember, the Boy Scout building was for sale, and they wanted to change the zoning, I believe, to office, and the neighborhood really was up in arms because of how broad the office zoning was. And I think that was one of our thinkings in narrowing this down, is problems like that.
And it was my understanding when this all happened that council's direction to staff was to remove residential. And so we've been working toward that direction. Now, we may have misunderstood that, but that was my understanding. So we've been working towards that. Obviously, this is your decision, but we may have misunderstood that also. So,
Is there any harm in going conservative now with the decision, since there hasn't been an issue? And if it becomes an issue, bring it back before the council with another more stringent change? Because we can always change the law, right?
I'll entertain a motion with changes or recommendations to staff or table, but what's your pleasure?
Dang.
I do want to
As we
say
get through this item, I'm going to call a recess for us to take a break.
I didn't tell me we're doing algebra today.
I'd rather be doing algebra. I can do algebra. I can't understand all this. This gets a little technical for me.
I guess as your staff, I'm going to recommend that this recommendation be changed to a special use permit so that we're not outright prohibiting the use and intentionally creating non-conforming
I just don't want
uses.
50. I don't want 50. I don't want us to have to go through 50 business owners in the next 6 months. And if we have one of them that was as bad as the circumstance we've had before, I don't ever want to go through that again.
This is going to only impact, we were saying where we have houses in commercial districts, eventually we want them to go away.
Right.
Right now,
I
this
think
says-
going forward, I think if that house is, if they go in there and they say, nah, we're gonna kick this house back to residential, I think obviously we wouldn't want that to happen. We would want it, they either tear it down and build a commercial building or some kind of conforming use there. But then again, we've got some houses that are 40 years old they've probably got another 30 years of life in them, and there's offices in them.
And what we don't necessarily want to do is restrict their expansion if they still have a livable property and they want to invest in it, they want to put an addition on to make it more livable.
Yeah.
There's still a viable property. I can see the other side of the equation. And really, it's more about protecting the interest of the resident, not the business.
They should have that right.
All right, since the public forum's still open, and thank you for the latitude, Mr. Mayor, I will tell you that if you do a special use, I will apply. The 200-yard notice will go into effect, and we will have another affair here, more than likely. So just food for thought. Because I will apply for it. Because I know once it changes, it'll be in the paper, and the drama will get triggered.
And overall, council, I just always encourage that we always think about the community at large here, and we have to think about how this impact the community, and we definitely appreciate the concerns of a few individual projects. We have to think citywide when we do this, and so whether you do approve it S or P or prohibited, be thinking on the citywide scale about what you foresee the future use of land in our community for zoning. This is why we have zoning. And so is to organize our community in a nice, fair way, and so that makes sense.
It's generally my opinion of going with the staff because they're the experts, and like Ms. Knox just said, this gets pretty technical, and I think a lot of thought and work went into this, not just by staff, but by our Planning and Zoning Commission.
And so with that, Andrew, you would recommend that going to an SUP instead of prohibited in this one here.
I would probably recommend the same thing for the commercial and the general retail districts, but that's not on the agenda tonight.
Mhm.
All we are dealing with is what's before you. And yes, I would recommend that change to prohibited be again changed to special use permit.
Just to clarify, if I own a business and I'm on Clarksville Street and I operate my business out of a house now, and we vote on this tonight in the special use permit, do I do anything Monday morning? Or I have to go re-permit, or do I need to go get another permit?
Only if you want to add on to your residence.
Only if you want to add on.
But if
He
you want
said
to,
business and you said residence.
if the business wants to expand in that residence, it can do that by right.
Yeah.
The residents can expand.
It would be the residential component.
The residents can expand though under a special use permit.
This property's got a mixture of both.
Yeah, so if you want to add on to your house, you can go to the city.
Basically, what would
You
happen?
don't have to do anything, you can add on. You can.
So what would happen, Mr. Pilgrim, is in this case, if it passes with the special use permit, having two structures on there, one neighborhood services and one being a single-family home, nothing would happen for all the properties citywide. That they would all become legal non-conforming use. In my situation, in order for me to add on my home, and when I apply for a building permit, it triggers a zone investigation, which would say, okay, it's not allowed because you don't have a special use permit. So I'd have to apply for a special use permit in order to get the building permit. I'd have to get approved through planning and zoning, city council, and then I could get my building permit. But as far as everybody else, as long as they're not adding on to the residential structure, they're good. They could go add on to their business zone neighborhood services. They're hunky dory.
Correct. Yes.
Any further discussion? I'll hear a motion to adopt this ordinance, amending Chapter 9, Exhibit B, zoning ordinance.
With the recommendation of changing Andrew there, fill it in for me
Well,
there.
Whatever motion I get.
I'll make the motion with amending for special use, and then the amendment is as written, correct, that we've talked?
Changing one family dwelling unit as a special use in the neighborhood service district.
Yeah. And office district too, yeah. Correct?
That is the proposed change as written. So it would be for both, allowed for both.
Then I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to, as written,
With the amendment to the
with
neighborhood.
the amendment to,
Office
Fa-
and neighborhood services.
on family dwelling detached
As a special use.
as a special use. Any further questions? All those in favor of the motion with that amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. I'm calling a recess for 10 minutes. We will be back at, let's make it to 8:15. Order for item number 18. Clear the room. Discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of the City of Paris to adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 9, Exhibit B, zoning ordinance, Section 8-102, special uses for a mixed use that is allowable in Central Area District and Planned Development by SUP in the multifamily 2, GRC, and light industrial districts. Mr. Mack, you have the floor again, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This is just a very simple amendment allowing mixed uses in the districts that you cited as part of the agenda. That's currently the way things work in the downtown. We want to make this opportunity available in our other high-density residential as well as our commercial districts. We actually have a proposed mixed-use development as a part of a future phase of development we're working on right now, and we want to make this an opportunity moving forward in the community. Very strong support by the Planning Commission on this amendment, and we would recommend your approval this evening.
Thank you. I will now open the public hearing. Anyone speaking for or against, come forward and state your name and address. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Is there any discussion or questions of Mr. Mack?
I move that we approve the ordinance amending Chapter 9, Exhibit B, zoning ordinance, Section 8-102, special uses for a mixed use that is allowable in CA and PD by SUP in the MF2, GR, C, and LI district.
Thank you. Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 19, discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of the City of Paris to adopt an ordinance amending the zoning map for the Suburban Estates Addition and Cope Street north of Pine Mill Road from an agricultural District A to a one-family dwelling District Number 2, Single Family 2. Mr. Mack, you have the floor again, please. This is in my district.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This is another example of a city-initiated zoning change, which the city adopts the zoning map, the zoning ordinance. We have the right to change it. This was, again, part of the work session discussion with the Planning Zoning Commission. They felt that this made sense. The property was virtually fully developed, single-family homes throughout the entire area, except for where you see in blue, which the city did rezone to two-family. There is a duplex that was built there. This area, after years of development, was later annexed into the city under the provisions in the ordinance at the time with annexation. It was all automatically zoned to agriculture. This is not an agricultural use by any stretch of the imagination. And we are recommending that you change this to SF2 as recommended by the Planning Commission. We did have some comments from citizens, but they were mostly just confused about the map that we produced and didn't understand if they were just part of the notice area, or if we were actually proposing changes to their property as well. It is just the single-family lots. This is the revised map for future use. We'll make it more clear like this. So again, recommending approval.
Thank you. I'll now open the public hearing. Anyone speaking for or against, come forward, state your name and address. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Is there any discussion?
I have a question. Yeah, sorry. It'll be short. You know the blue that's you've labeled the buffer area? I think when I think of buffer, I'm thinking nothing's going to be built there, but apparently you do have something built there. That's the multifamily right there. Is that right? Is it kind of like blending from a single family and kind of goes into higher density, or what is that?
No, ma'am. It's the required provision for the notification of the neighbors within 200 feet of a buffer of the subject property being changed.
Okay.
So that's the area in blue where we sent the notices
I got
out,
you.
in
Okay.
addition to the lots that people have the homes on.
Okay, thank you.
I think also what you're thinking is like where my mother's garden home on Primrose is. Right behind her are single-family homes that are big. But right in front of her, there's a car wash and storage units and a gas station and a dentist office. And so those garden homes are a little bit of a buffer because they're not the big 3,000 square foot home she moved out of, well, 3,500 square foot home she moved out of. They're 2,000 square foot garden homes. And I think of that as a buffer.
Yeah, I was thinking that it would be a buffer.
This is for the notification.
Yes,
I would also like to make one other comment here that was part of the public hearing. With the city's comprehensive plan, this area is guided for low-density residential. So really, this change in the zoning map is to help further implement the city's comprehensive plan that has already been adopted by this body.
Okay.
And that is true of all of the cases of the zoning that have come before you tonight. All guided for low-density residential.
Okay, any further discussion? I'll hear a motion to approve item number 19.
I move that we approve an ordinance to rezone these properties from agricultural to SF2.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Item number 20, discuss, conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance amending the zoning map for the Colonial Parks Estates addition Phase 2 from an agricultural district to a one-family dwelling district, SF1. Mr. Mack, it's all your show.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Again, guided for low-density residential. This SF1 district is 1.5 acre lot, minimum lot size. That is the character of what's developed out there. This type of zoning change protects those existing homes from future re-subdivision and just altering the character of this extremely low rural residential density property. They are on private services up there. It certainly is not agricultural use, so the SF1 district makes sense, and we are recommending your approval this evening. No objections received from any of the residents.
All right, I'll open the public hearing. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Any discussion? I'll hear a motion to approve item number 20.
I move to accept the Colonial Parks Estates Addition Phase 2 from Agriculture District to SF1.
Thank you.
Second it.
Thank you. Any more discussion? It's been moved and seconded that we approve item number 20. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Item number 21, discuss and act on an ordinance extending the mayor's declaration of local disaster for public health emergency and order dated March 19th, 2020, as extended by resolution number 2020-2022 and by ordinance numbers 2020-014, 2020-017, 2020-023, 2020-030, 2020-035, and 2021-001, and 2021-009 for an additional 90 days, making other findings and provisions related to the subject and declaring an effective date. Staff, do you have a presentation?
I would just say we've done this. This will be the 9th time. COVID hasn't gone away. The governor's declaration of emergency is still in effect. I would just recommend that you extend that for another 90 days, and we'll see where we are then.
Thank you. Mr. Path, you have anything to add?
I did talk to our EMS director, Russell Thrasher, and just to get some, see how COVID is in our community. And we did provide over 21,000 vaccines, but a predominant number of those were not in our county. And so COVID is still active in our community. We were seeing 2 to 8 cases per day. Now we're seeing 20 plus per day. And so it does seem wise for us to continue to extend this because we're not out of the woods yet. And so I do have some employees who have COVID now too. So it's definitely in our community still.
Okay, is there any discussion? I'll hear a motion to approve item number 21, extending the declaration of local disaster.
I'll make the motion that we approve item 21 as written.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve item number 21. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Item number 22, discuss conducting a Paris Building Development and Code Forum. I believe Councilmember Pankosh placed this on the agenda, and Mr. Mack has some comments as well.
So I know that whenever I got into council, there have been a lot, and I'm sure this has been time and time before I got on, but I know the council has put a strict notice saying, hey, we want to be safe, we want to go code related and do it the correct way. And I completely agree with that. Our general contractors and other builders and developers, there seems to be a little bit of confusion on some of them, and I think that it's good to have a forum where we are able to introduce the newer faces to our city staff that have come on, and then also to understand what is it that the city is looking for. What are the codes? What are the rules? What are the important issues that we're looking at when we are talking about codes and ordinances? It's safety. So having that and pushing that to the forefront is a very important initiative. And I think that from a council's point of view, that is something that we want to do and aid the city staff in figuring out how to establish this relationship, because let's face it, Paris is growing, right? And that's a good thing. We're excited about that. So we have to continue onward and upward. And by doing this, having a Paris Building and Development Code Forum, we are able to establish a good relationship with our builders and developers. And not just them, it's everyone within our community, businesses, real estate agents, banking institutions, educational foundations, you name it. It's a partnership within the community. But in order for us to be able to amicably understand the safety behind how we build things, we've got to be able to discuss that. So we have had a committee that has been working on this. This is an important venture for our community to kind of understand and go forward. And there will be more details that will come out in the coming months for better purposes to understand when this will be put on. But for the time right now, Mr. Mack, do you have anything else to add? I know we've had 2 meetings to plan this. We're still going to have a little bit more time to understand and plan. Is there anything you'd like to add?
We are looking at sometime in October. We are likely going to check on availability at the Love Civic Center as a place that could hold a number of people. We are looking at bringing outside speakers in, as well as some folks locally from the community and other people that are involved in the building and development trades in the community and in these various areas that you've referred to. And so that is what we're looking at doing. We're looking at casting a wide net of invites to have everybody interested in this discussion come and learn. And I guess I'd like to kick it over to Grayson if he has additional comments. He's thought quite a bit about this. We've discussed this at length before I was hired and started, and so I think he's got some thoughts as well.
Yeah, this is something that obviously upon my hire, the council tasked me with enforcing all codes, and so I went about doing that, and I think fairly well, and so best of my ability, and so, but I've had this on my list to have a forum for individuals, but obviously with staff shortages and key positions, this has not been something I can get to. Now Mr. Mack is on board. He's got a couple months under his belt now, 3 months under his belt now. We're able to start working our way towards that. So we know it's been an important issue in the community for some individuals, and we're doing the right thing in our community by enforcing codes. It's what our city needs. We've not had it for decades, and so our citizens deserve that. And so, but with that said, it's always good to educate everyone to understand the direction we're going now, and give them a chance to come and learn and ask some questions and help people understand the direction we're going, which is regulated by the state of Texas. Also, they're the ones that require us to have codes, and we're taking the next steps forward to doing that for our community. So,
and this is understood as not a complaint session, but a educational session,
yes.
Correct?
Yes.
To put the information out.
Yeah. My goal is not to have individuals from any side come in there and start pointing fingers or I don't know. It's supposed to be an educational session. So not to be some crusade on any side or yeah. So
I will say 2 or 3 years ago, the chamber sponsored one of these. It was at Love Civic Center in one of the conference rooms, standing room only. Mayor Clifford, former Mayor Clifford, and I both attended, and staff did a wonderful job. There were from plumbers to contractors across the board. I left thinking we'd all been educated, but some still want to complain rather than be educated, perhaps. I don't know, but I'm supportive of this. I commend you for getting it together again, and I would like to attend as just to listen.
Fantastic.
Is it the experiences I've had recently with folks that have had issues with our building code enforcement obviously were tripped by themselves, not by us, not because we're all stringent, whatever you want to call it. We have the rules, they're written. 90% of probably 80% of our construction folks that we have in this, that build in our community don't have any issue. They build in other communities too, and they're extremely educated in construction. I think we've got a couple of contractors that either are wanting to cut the corner or they are going to try to see how far they can bend the rules. I'm like, I don't want it to be a crash session for y'all. So if there's any reserve of y'all having that, I'm not totally, and I totally understand what you're saying. We had this a couple years ago, and I don't want to waste y'all's time if y'all don't think it is a good thing to do. If you want to do it, I'm all about it. But Grayson, you and Andrew and y'all staff, y'all have got to put the thing on. And if you think it helps the community, I'm about it. But I want y'all to tell me.
I think it's good. I think it's good for the community overall because we are changing a culture. I've used that term a lot, and so and we're it's good to educate the builders, but also the landlords, the bankers, the investors, the insurance agents, the tenants, the people who own houses. If you're going to buy a structure, it's good to make everyone aware of these things. And so, and we are enforcing fairly and equitably. People they say I don't, but the person who gets enforced always thinks that. And I mean, talk to Chief Tuttle across the room there. And so it's. But I think it's a good program. It is obviously extra time and effort, but I think given the history of our community and having not enforced codes fairly equally across the board, I think it's probably appropriate to do this. But we're going to have some good facilitators come in. I do think having some outside people coming in to help guide us is very appropriate. And so But I'd like to encourage the council to attend that, and we'll go from there. So again, codes are very important, and we want to emphasize that for all the people in the community. So, but I definitely, Councilmember Pilgrim, I definitely appreciate that thought there. 'Cause I know my staff are heavily worked, and they work very hard.
Well, sometimes, and I'm guilty of it as bad as anybody, but we're out here and we're not on the ground with y'all every day. I've been part of some of your code enforcement issues that you've had with some of the, and every one of those, and the last couple that I've been a part of, I spent several hours really getting the details and down and saying, these guys are saying this, but I'm not seeing it on our end. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, the construction guys had made the mistakes, not us. And I don't want that to be a session of total destruction, because some of them, that's what they like to do, and it doesn't get us anywhere closer. But if y'all want to do it, I'm all about it.
And that's going to probably happen. And also too, I gave my word to people that we would do this, and so I feel good that we should proceed with that. And so, I think it'd be good for the community as a whole. So,
Me too.
Yeah, very supportive, and thankful that we have a staff that's so willing to put themselves out there and communicate the truth. Any more discussion? Item number 23, receive an amended report on the PACE Property Assessed Clean Energy Act and act on a resolution of intent to expand the program. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Just quickly, we talked about this at the last meeting, about expanding this community-wide. So I brought back the first step to do that is to accept the program, the report. It's in your packet as well as on the city website, and to pass a resolution of intent to do this program. What we'll do next week, or the next meeting, will be to have a public hearing and do the resolution creating the program. And you'll look at the documents, and they look like they don't reference Paris Lakes, or they don't reference HWH. We just took that stuff out of there so that it is a program that's community-wide. So my recommendation would be that you receive the report and approve the resolution.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll hear a motion to approve the resolution of intent to expand the PACE program.
I move that we pass and adopt the resolution of intent to establish a PACE program for the city of Paris, Texas, including all property within the boundaries of the city.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of expanding the program by resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Item number 24, any future events for city council or city staff? Seeing none, I'll hear a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
And second, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those
First,
opposed.
second.